Friend of the show, Sam Harris.
I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing.
What is wrong with this guy? Oh my God, he is so libbed up.
First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if Joe Biden, like what
actual friend of the show? Fuck no, dude. I hate him. What are you talking about? Awful. And he's still awful. He switched sides. Like, he was always like the liberal who was like anti-Trump, but like really reactionary. And then during the Trump era, he's like started to recognize like, okay, these white supremacists are like really crazy. He read the room and like flipped back over, but he's still fucking annoying. He's just the worst.
Whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view, right? Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair.
Oh my God, he's so fucking libbed up, dude. It's crazy. He is so libbed up. First of all, Hunter Biden did traffic in his last name, for sure. And by that, I mean like traffic influence, not sex trafficking like the way that 4chan tries to claim he did. He did do that. Trump's children have done that, and his son-in-law did way worse. Obviously, you could just mention that and then move on with it and then say Hunter Biden is still very cool, though, so we support him unconditionally. And he's allowed to do whatever he wants because, you know, he's a mad dog with a fat hog. Now, that's one thing. That's what I say. That's the appropriate thing to say, in my opinion. Hunter's hot. He's got a big dick, and he likes to fuck the most 35-year-old looking women on the planet. Okay? The most 35-year-old looking, sex workers on the planet. So, and he wants them to unionize. And he does crack, the proletarian's cocaine. The proletariat cocaine. So all of that is true. He's an alpha dog. Yes, he is chronically down bad for 35-year-old looking women. Not a day older, not a day younger. Just right on the dot. And so there's that. I wouldn't go as far as to be like, if Hunter Biden had fucking, dead bodies in his basement, no one would care. Like, that's insane. No, if he did actually murder people, look, no, people should care. That's fucking psychotic. People in the chat are actually starting to believe that Hunter Biden is cool meme. What meme? What do you mean a meme?
To not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account like that. That's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely, right. But I think it was warranted. Right. And again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
That particular piece
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement?
No. Fuck the kids in the basement. I'm interested in democracy.
I love that. Fuck the kids in the basement. I can't believe you think it's appropriate that New York Post's Hunter Biden story was taken down by Twitter. Every part of this conversation is so fucking psychotic because it's being acted on by two parties that are so insanely fucking removed from the average human being, okay? The average human being with a moral grounding or a moral compass, like, they're gone. They're gone on the right side. They're literally so firmly planted in the fucking center. I suspect the trigonometry guys are like on the right of that center, and Sam Harris sometimes on the left of that center, but when it comes to Islam, he's like literally all the way to the furthest of the right. of that center when it comes to Islam. But these guys are fucking insane. Like, what do you mean? That's psychotic. No, if Hunter Biden had children in his basement, that's huge, man. That is really fucking big, okay? That's a huge hypothetical. You can't just like cast that aside. You can't do that. Why are you guys hypothetically saying like if Hunter Biden was like literally murdering children, it's okay? It's not okay. That's fucking insane. What the fuck is wrong with these people? And the irony is that it's a dumb hypothetical, okay? And this guy also cast that side because he betrays the values that he supposedly has, right? Where he immediately goes in, oh, I don't care about the children in the basement thing that you said. I care about... I know he's exaggerating, man. I know that they're both exaggerating. But the funny part is he is taking what Sam Harris said seriously and with respect to like, you know, Sam Harris would not care if Hunter Biden had children in his basement. And he doesn't even care about Sam Harris saying that, which is arguably a more insane thing. Okay? And he only cares about the media being silenced narrative. Okay? Like, that is insane. That is fucking psychotic. I would be like, what do you mean if Hunter Biden had children? Like, make him address it. Be like, yeah, I was just kidding. Obviously, I would care in that situation. Make him address that. That's a significantly worse fucking take. That's a significantly worse take overall than the other side. That's morally consistent with what Sam Harris is saying. If you don't care that like Hunter Biden murdered children, okay, in your hypothetical, of course you're not going to fucking care. Of course you're not going to fucking care if the New York Post is being like silenced by Twitter or some shit. The irony of that situation, as I talked about back then with respect to Hunter Biden's laptop, was that like, one, it was hacked material. Two, I didn't care that it was hacked material. I think it should be still disseminated. And three, when mainstream media doesn't actually cover that broadly, then you leave the weirdo fucking conspiracy theorists to be the only outlet that covers it. And four, no, Twitter should not fucking, decide that, oh, well, this is hacked material, so we can't release it, and then stop it from being distributed. That's insane, okay? That's the right thing to say, because ultimately it didn't matter. Yeah, it was hacked material, okay? It was hacked material that showed that Hunter Biden has a fat penis. That's it, okay? He owns the record for having been filmed, okay, on crack. He's literally, no one has been filmed on crack as much as Hunter Biden. That's number one, like Guinness Book of World Record shit. And two, he is a fat hog. So revenge porn is cool. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that is not an incredibly uncharitable and awfully psychotic way to fucking understand what I'm saying. No, what I mean is mainstream media is not going to cover Hunter Biden's fucking revenge porn, you stupid fuck. But they're going to literally address it and be like, well, there's a lot of revenge porn in here. There's a lot of like random fucking nudity in here. And that this is very clearly, we parsed through all the details, and we found nothing of worth. Why are Twitch chatters, especially 9-month subscribers, like some of the most brain-broken fucks in this chat, in this community? Like, what happens? What happens to you that you have to, like, chirp like you're on fucking Twitter? You know what I mean? Like you're a Twitter hater of mine.
See, you're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power.
You're content with a conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing, conspiracy.
Okay, so here's the thing. This guy says, so you're fine with a conspiracy to fucking stop someone. Dude, the Hunter Biden news story was not a big fucking news story. I'm sorry. Donald Trump tried to make it a news story, but it was the most pathetic attempt of like trying to make shit happen. as a last second ditch effort. If that was your October surprise, you lost. You killed a lot of people during COVID. The economy fucking tanked. Surprise, you're going to lose to a fucking corpse. Okay? You understand? Like, that's not a fucking conspiracy. That's why I hate that, like, Twitter did what it did, right? Because, like, it made it seem like it was a bigger fucking deal. And they're still trying to make it happen. They're still trying to bring back the Hunter Biden stuff. And it's not working because no one gives a shit. Every single time they bring back Hunter Biden and they, like, try to add new fucking layers, it's always just like, they made fucking fan cams, dude. 4chan made a fan cam of Hunter Biden looking cool and doing crack. And then there were photos of his nieces in that compilation that they posted to be like, oh, he's a pedophile. And it still didn't work. Because everyone was like, those are his fucking nieces, you weirdos. Shut the fuck up. It's not working. And they keep trying to. They keep trying to make it seem like it's working. They keep trying to fucking bring it back, but it's not. Which is why they should have just, like, covered it from the jump.
It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think.
Just because nobody gives a shit doesn't mean the Burisma stuff and the China stuff isn't a big deal if it's true. Oh no, the Burisma stuff and China stuff is 100% true. I literally used to fucking duke it out with libs back when the Burisma stuff first came out, where I was like, no, of course he fucking didn't deserve to work for Burisma. Are you insane? 1,000,000%. No, dude. Of course. That's just fucking rich and powerful kid shit. Everyone does it. It's inappropriate when the Trumps do it. It's inappropriate when the Bidens do it. I am not even remotely on the side of, like, defending that. I think it's completely unacceptable. Completely. Okay? Yeah, but you're basically saying, like, just found out nepotism exists. I think I'm going to be sick. Exactly. Which, by the way, I am yes, at this point, arrest all of Congress, which, yeah, arrest all Congress. Exactly. It would be great. Do that for everybody. I'm so on board.
It's like, if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon, you know, if it's like, if there was an asteroid.
Part of Burisma that was bullshit was the clutching at pearls and trying to make it seem irregular. No, I mean, it's, oh, you mean by conservatives? Yeah. Like, it's regular order of business, and I fucking think it's awful. And I do agree that it's awful. And I think that, like, people should be punished for it. But a lot of liberals were trying to make it seem like, oh, no, he deserved to get a fucking no-show job. That was like $100,000 a month or whatever. After having zero experience in the oil and gas industry. Like, yeah, it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
Hurdle. It's not but there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like, if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon. You know, if it's like, if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth, and we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course, right? Is that a conspiracy?
I need to watch more of this. This is so bad because I hate both of the parties involved in this immediately. I love this. Oh, fuck. This is my crack cocaine, okay? Call me Hunter Biden because I'm smoking crack right now. This is straight up my favorite type of content, which is like the slightly right-wing liberals and the slightly left-wing liberal having a conversation about how fucking libbed up they are, okay? Please, I'm, you know... Just finished leftovers commercial like always. Thanks. Do we have the full one? Felix on Alex Jones supporting DeSantis. What? The Trump-DeSantis split is very interesting. It has shades of Bernie Warren. DeSantis is seen as the pick of media dilettantes and think tank populists, but has few to no loyalists. Trump, meanwhile, has people who thought will suicide attack Trump, meanwhile, has people who will suicide attack FBI field offices. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. That is a good take. Do we have the fucking the trigonometry Do we have the trigonometry episode, chat? I do want to see it. It's so hard to call this one now that Trump is under the second investigation of his career that doesn't feel totally Lev Parnasy. If he gets in actual trouble, the smart thing for Team Ron is to get the money guys to pay Trump and promise a pardon the second year in.
Your capacity to be offended is not something that anyone need or should respect in you.
You were calling for Twitter to shut down Trump's account, and
Oh God, dude, I love this. Chatter, why? No, this is awesome. Shut the fuck up. Stop spamming dumb shit like that. We're not gonna watch this entire thing. We're not gonna watch this entire thing, although I do find it very funny that they're sponsored by fucking Epoch Times. Wait. Oh, this is an Epoch Times? Wait. This is literally an Epoch Times podcast? God, America is so cooked, bro. We're not even getting owned by like cool cults now. You know what I mean? Oh my God, dude. We got Fallen Gong up in this bitch. Oh my Lord. I didn't even realize these fucking, these like center right wingers were actually getting paid directly by a psychotic anti-CCP cult. Oh my God. Oh God, dude. America is the sea of contradictions, and we have caused so much harm on this fucking planet that it is wild. If you're not in America, if you're in the third world watching right now, you're like, holy fuck, these guys are gonna like, this is about to pop off. This is unironically about, like, all of this is about to explode, okay? That's what it feels like. It's just like all of that harm that we caused overseas is inevitably going to come back and haunt us, right? Like it has to. It's called blowback. Wait, Falun Gong is bad? I thought they were just being silenced by the CCP. Just Google it, chatter. You, Myron. Just I don't want to go through. I don't want to go through the Falun Gong Wikipedia page every single time. But you know, they got some based and red pill takes like anti-miscegenation. They're anti-race mixing. They are. I mean, look. All I need to tell you is this: they're on the side of CIA. That's all you need to know. And if you know anything about CIA adjacent organizations overseas, they have some wonderful characteristics that exist in Falun Gong, which also on top of that is just like openly a Scientology style cult. So, great stuff. What is this? Yeah, Shen Yun. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They are, oh, so good. They're so fucking good. For being the most annoying r/atheist Andy in the world, I can't believe Sam Harris is working with a psycho religious cult. What a surprise. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But yeah, Falun Gong is a cult. Awesome. The first recommended thing I see when I see Google Falun Gong is organ harvesting. Yeah, they say that the Chinese government is harvesting their organs or something. Oh, also, Epoch Times and Shen Yun work with white supremacist organizations all around the world, which is not shocking, I don't think. It is kind of wild, dude. It is actually fucking wild to think. It is wild to consider that, like, I mean, we are the fucking bad guys. You know what I mean? We are just the bad guys. What is this? Wow, Weeb alert. I went to a JoJo's exhibit in Japan yesterday, living my best life. Oh my God. No. Oh my God, she's a JoJo. Oh, she's about to fucking melt people, dude. And by people, I mean me. Oh, that's awesome. That is hot girl shit. That is hot girl shit. God, Megan Thee Stallion, watching Megan Thee Stallion perform at Coachella was, and it's like such a weird thing to admit, but it was kind of revolutionary. I truly understood why she is such a powerhouse. I'm sorry. I just, I know it's like kind of whack to admit stuff like this, but like, she is mesmerizing. She is a force to be reckoned with. She's truly iconic. Actually, I really like her. Larry Elder used to work at Epoch Times. That was going to be your governor, dog. He should have soon won. Honestly, y'all do deserve him. Shut up, dude. 30 years old, by the way. What do you mean? Why can't I fucking say that? Why? Am I supposed to die when I'm 30? Shut the fuck up. Like, what? I have a heart. I have a soul. You know what I mean? Like, what? I just like, here, I'll just say this much, okay? You know how like white people say like, oh, she slayed or whatever? Like, I understood the term. I understood all the fucking queer AAVE that people use because it describes what she did perfectly. She ate it up and no crumbs were left, okay? Hasan in the crowd at Coachella when Megan says, ah. Yes. No, that was me. She did. She did serve cunt. Like straight up. She did. She served cunt harder than I served the top of the hour ad break, which comes at the top of the hour every hour. Now, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account where you get one free Prime subscription a month. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky, okay? We're serving the top of the hour ad breaks and we're serving cunt out here, okay? Hyperactive BS, thank you for the 5 get the subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. English Muffin, thank you for the 5 get the subs as well. Okay, let's hear the rest
And
of it.
we're happy that it happened.
Yeah.
That's a very different position to pretty much everybody else. Why did you take that position?
Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view. That's
Thank you,
just a
Aruiz.
conspiracy. That's a left-wing.
This music is awesome. All right, come on.
Nigel Lawson, Brett Weinstein, get
Okay,
monthly
all the
supporter
worst
calls.
people. All the absolute worst scumbags. They've interviewed literally the most annoying, shitty podcasters. Like, listen, I'm a podcaster now. Okay? Full-fledged. It's called Fear Ant. Check it out. I paywalled it. That's when I knew I was a real podcaster. And let me tell you something. Us podcasters, okay, we got a hard job. And my podcast friends are the good ones. But these podcasters are additionally greasy looking. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know like how you were able to just like, you know, look the way you do. But these guys are the worst ones. Okay, these guys are the bad ones. We're the good ones. We're the good podcasters. This is the bad podcasters. Okay? He looks like the Black Keys drummer. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that guy looks like, but he looks like shit. They both do. Okay? Now, Now, here's the reality. Yes, as someone in the chat correctly pointed out, if podcasters didn't exist, society would crumble. Okay, podcasters are holding up society. They are the fabric that holds us all together. So it's a really important job. And these guys are not doing the important job. They're fucking annoying. They suck. Okay. So let's hear from the worst fucking podcasters talk to some other awful podcasters.
Who you were yesterday.
And let me tell you, it's going to be cancel culture, free speech, intellectual ponderings on why women deserve less, which I'm on board with. Okay. Yeah, that is how it works. Okay, shut up. Musicians are the same as well, though. They're annoying. Mald V, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And what else? I mean, they're gonna just like do lib shit, okay? They're gonna do incredible lib shit. Let's take a look.
The burden isn't to join some tribe who you'll get social reinforcement from for conforming to. So it's insofar as I'm continually just trying to figure out what's true and what's consistent with what I claimed was true 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago, that causes me to just bump up against taboos and blasphemies and ideologies that are more rigid than that, right? I mean, even having an identity itself is too much. It's like you not only can you not really conform to a tribe, you can't really even conform to who you were yesterday if your master value is to be honest and rigorous and available to new data, new arguments, and new insights.
That's a very good answer, but doesn't answer my question, which is how did you become that way? Why are you that way?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Why are you so sick, dude? Okay, here, let's do Twitter, manufacturing Discord. Now, you know what this is like? I just need everybody to understand something. This is the right framing that we are going to consume this information through. Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, and people like this that are inside of like the Joe Rogan ecosystem are constantly fucking worried about the dumbest shit possible that literally, truly does not impact anyone outside of the immediate like 4 to 5 people that it touches. Like, and the New York Times, unfortunately, also elevates this conversation to the national status that it does not deserve. But it'll be like, what academic that is like a 75-year-old rapist tenured professor is having a dinner party where they had a conversation and there was a fallout from said conversation, and now I'm going to write a fucking think piece about it, okay? These guys are article heads through and through, okay? I despise them. I feel like Pol Pot every single time I hear one of these fucking limp dick assholes talk about like what other liberal arts college fired a professor for like, I don't know, doing an unimaginable amount of rapes while simultaneously saying like black people deserve less or something. So then they hyper focus on the black people deserve less part, and then they make that their main issue. You know what I mean? Like the college actually fucking, the college actually fired them for that reason. You know what I mean? I hate them. I hate them so much. Even if colleges are firing tenured professors for saying black people deserve less, that's good. I'm fully in support of college campuses doing that. Okay? I don't care. Fuck you. Okay? You should not, as a tenured professor, you should not be the most protected person. You're not like the police chief. Okay? Tenured professors behave like they're a part of the police union. Okay? They're not. I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay? And all they talk about is this. And the worst part about it is they constantly talk about it. They constantly make this the main issue, okay? They constantly make this the main issue, like it's the most significant problem facing Americans today. And then all the dumbasses that are desperately seeking another pseudo-intellectual father figure to make themselves feel like they're actually smarter because they're listening to someone like Sam Harris. also then make this their main point of contention. Like, that's all they care about. That's all they care about. That's all they fucking can talk about. They don't give a shit. Okay? Nobody gives a shit about the dumb stuff that they talk about. Specifically, Twitter, manufacturing discourse. It's the most significant platform. I mean, let's talk about cancel culture. Let's talk about Twitter cancel culture. Let's talk about free speech. Okay? What happened to the IDW? Trump's Twitter ban. They got a 20-minute on that. Impression of Hunter Biden laptop. Why wokeism is more consequential than Trumpism. Wokeism versus the satanic panic. Wokeism and religion. How wokeism allures. I'm sorry. You deserve a Pol Pot style future if you think that these guys are brilliant, okay? I bet you wear fucking glasses. You're done. You're out. Okay? Straight up. Got a lot wrong, that guy. Don't like him. Very bad, okay? Work with Henry Kissinger. But the one thing he got right was these fucking article heads that wear glasses and they're nerdy as fuck and they constantly talk about this dumb shit, okay? Just want to sound smart to the coworkers type beat. Yeah, but they're so fucking stupid. They say shit like wokeism versus Trumpism. You're a child. You're a child with a child brain.
As I get older, I pick my battles more, just because I like that the hassle factor of touching certain topics in certain ways has become more salient for me. I mean, Twitter was the real teaching tool for me. Like I just, I got on the platform as everyone did, not really aware that I was enrolling myself into a psychological experiment to which no one had consented, and the outcome is as yet unforeseen. And I just kind of let loose, on various topics. And I would, when I would see some malefactor there who was treating me or other people badly, well, then I had to deal with that right then and there.
Okay, I'm skipping that. I don't care about this.
Sam, you talked about tribalism at the beginning, and that's something that Francis and I both feel very strongly is contributing to much of the divisiveness and the way things are going. And look, let's be clear, the show is called Trigonometry. We want to explore difficult subjects. There's no question that neither him or I...
Yeah, it's called trigonometry. They're tackling the most difficult subjects that no one wants to tackle, like cancel culture and censorship in the media. Things that no one else can talk about. Ooh, are you triggered? This is a relic of 2016, okay? They are so desperate. And it's probably no accident that the only time they have like legitimate viewership is when they fucking go on the Joe Rogan Experience, okay? Broke boys. This podcast premiered yesterday, and this fucking episode has 85,000 views, unlike Fear and. Shouts out to my podcast that I do with my co-host Will Neff and our producer Marsh. Constantly hitting 200K in the first 24-hour cycle. Let's go, baby. Fear and. Back on top.
I are woke in the consent. Opposing that ideology has been a big part of what we do. But the tribalism is a different thing. We don't want to be in the anti-woke tribe or the woke tribe, right? Yeah. And there was a tribe around 2015, 2016. That's a very small tribe of very smart people, which was referred to as the intellectual dark web, which I remember...
Dave Rubin was a part of it. Owned. I mean, everyone else was really stupid in that tribe as well, but Dave Rubin was a part of the intellectual dark web, so that kind of destroys your argument, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. That's one that you can always point to. It's like whenever fucking I talk about Maya ranking me as like F tier with my comedy, I don't ever mention that because a lot of people will say, no, she's right about that. I just immediately point to, well, she ranked Will Neff C tier. And everyone immediately is like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, there's something wrong with her. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like that. You don't have to fucking parse through Brett Weinstein's idiotic fucking rhetoric or anything like that to just say the IDW is stupid. Just point to Dave Rubin's existence within the IDW and everyone will understand, oh, okay, objectively, these guys are bad.
But at that time, we weren't doing this. We were just two comedians. I remember watching you guys have those conversations and being inspired by people. I don't think you guys had the answers, but you had the right questions. You did have the right questions. And then over time, we watched that loose tribe of very bright people, as loose tribes of very bright people always do, crumble, disintegrate, fall out. Yeah. What happened?
Well, but the first thing that happened is that it was actually, for some of us more than others, a tongue-in-cheek label for a tribe that really wasn't. I mean, none of us are tribal people. It really is a herding cats sort of situation. And when I launched, so, it was Eric Weinstein coinage, which I launched on a podcast we did. And I think in that context,
Sam Harris on Bill Maher talk about Muslim extremism on point, though? No, it's not. It is not on point. That is just a simple self-report on your behalf. If you agree with Sam Harris on Islamic extremism, that completely fucking singles out Islam as a monolithic structure, which is fucking psychotic, devoid of any sort of materialist perspective, materialist analysis whatsoever, any sort of fucking contributing factor such as imperialism, okay, and its role in creating the most reactionary forces as a counterbalance to said imperialism, you're a fucking idiot. You are purposely listening to someone make you dumber, okay? That's the saddest part about this, is that these guys that love Sam Harris and others like him, okay, are desperately seeking information that corresponds to their personal biases and their fucking fears, right? And in that endless effort, in order to do that, in order to fucking reinforce those biases, you end up making yourself stupider. You make yourself dumber, okay? More stupid, whatever. That's it.
I telegraphed that I thought it was tongue-in-cheek. I mean, I think he probably thought it was more in earnest than I did, or he was at least more attached to the label. And then very quickly, there were people who sort of joined this collection.
Real bravery is getting together with your 4 whitest friends and being racist on podcasts. Yup.
Or who were said to be in it, some of whom I had never heard of at that point, who, upon just a little bit of analysis, revealed themselves to be people who I really don't agree with, not just on the actual substance of specific opinions, just their methodology by which they would generate opinions, or their lack of methodology. So, I'm not inclined to name names, but there are people who, like, it's just wrong to think, they were ever moving in the same lane I was in at that point when we were all called IDW people, right? But I think the biggest force of fragmentation was Trump and what certain people did or didn't do with that phenomenon,
And this is what I was going to ask you. I'd say there were 2 things that fractured it from that looking.
I mean, COVID later, but Trump was the
So let's start with Trump, because I want to talk about COVID as well. But if we start with Trump, you took a different view to almost everybody, I would say, in what was described as IDW, in the sense that you were, I think you were calling for Twitter to shut down Trump's account and were happy that it happened.
Yeah.
That's a very different position to pretty much everybody else. Why did you take that position?
Well, for 2 reasons. One, so the generic reason is, and this is something
he's so fucking lib. That's it. He's a lib. The generic reason is he's a lib. The complicated reason is he's a lib. It's the same reason, because he's libbed the fuck up. Sam Harris shows the reactionary side of liberalism so perfectly. Like, you could almost conduct a study on it. You know what I mean? You could just, like, personally watch his movement and his attitude shift over time, and the things he says, to watch in real time how liberals can sometimes end up aligning with fascists or fascist ideology.
I've never gotten a clear answer on from any of the people who took the different side of this. And many of these people are ostensibly libertarians, or at least quasi-libertarians. They want something like a minimum of state coercion and control. They don't want just a proliferation of laws to make our lives more difficult. And that's an orientation. Though I consider myself liberal and have always voted as a Democrat. I mean, until we dealt with this woke apocalypse, I would have certainly called myself
I love that. I love that a fucking 58-year-old man is over here being like, I considered myself a Democrat until this woke apocalypse. Okay? And then motherfuckers literally watch him and go, dude, you're so brilliant. You're so fucking brilliant, dude. Thank you so much. He basically admitted, he is like, I have no convictions. I don't care about anything. I just got really fucking triggered by like a bunch of blue-haired SJW college freshmen yelling at my other racist podcast host friends. And I decided my entire worldview is different now. Fundamentally. It's fundamentally shaken. It's altered. I will never be the same.
Democrat without much self-consciousness. I've always had this libertarian kind of underpinning to my politics, which is, if the private sector can handle it, it's probably best done there, right? I mean, just given the level of inefficiency and poorly aligned incentives you get in a government bureaucracy, and peaceful, honest people should have the right to be left alone. So it's like, unless somebody is harming people or guilty of fraud, i.e. theft, stealing from people. We don't need the government involved. And so, that's my general framework. And many people ostensibly in this group ostensibly agreed with that. So when I look at Twitter, Twitter is a company that can decide to, as someone who has started, information-based companies at this point, I'm just thinking about what's the scenario under which I would want the government to force me to have Alex Jones on my podcast or to have Donald Trump on my podcast? Shouldn't I be able to have anyone I want on my podcast? Is it conceivable that my podcast could grow so big, or that that any other platform, I've considered creating a social media platform, right? If that could grow so big that suddenly the government would have an interest in forcing me to have people on it who, for whatever reason, I object to having on. This is a way in which I'm more extreme than most people on the left. Like I do think at this point in history, you should be able to have a social media platform and exclude any specific group you want, and just say that's the way we do it, right? And if you don't like it, boycott us, right? So like I wouldn't have said this in 1964 when we have to pass a Civil Rights Act, but at this point, I think you should have the right to be an asshole who destroys your reputation and suffers the penalties in the marketplace of ideas, right? So I think if you want to just have a social media network for beautiful people, right, or people who are, guys who are over 6'2" and blonde hair and blue eyes, right, I can't get on. You should feel free to raise money for that enterprise, launch it, and I'll laugh when it fails, right? So like now under some construal, that kind of thing, is or should be illegal, if you're just a normal person on the left. But I think at this moment in history it shouldn't be. But in any case, when I look.
What did he say? We need to give Aryans the marketplace of ideas approach?
Well, guys who are over 6'2" and blonde hair and blue eyes, right? I can't get on. You should feel free to raise money for that enterprise, launch it, and I'll laugh when it fails, right? So like now under some construal, that kind of thing, is or should be illegal, if you're just a normal person on the left. But I think at this moment in history it shouldn't be. But in any case, when I look at.
Okay. Here are two things, because we have the benefit of like actually seeing what his approach is to like Donald Trump. What I find unique is that this guy's basically saying white supremacy is fine. Like white supremacy has its place. Nazis have their place in the marketplace of ideas, but Donald Trump, on the other hand, is unique and different and worse than those guys, and therefore I will advocate to ban him. Okay, so what does that mean? Like, first of all, he literally thinks like it's gonna go away if you just like have these Nazis on. If you allow them to come to your schools and like do speeches and like dox people, dox trans students in your school and whatever. Like, not at all what he's saying. Am I misunderstanding what he's saying? I want to be as charitable as possible because I know he does think that like there is a level, like there is a fucking stopping point for his free speech. Pretty sure it's not the Aryans though. He's saying like, oh no, they can be destroyed on their own. They can be destroyed by virtue of how bad their ideas are. No, he's saying a whites-only social media is okay and that would fail. He thinks Twitter has the right to ban whoever they want. Okay. He's talking about, he's saying that like white supremacists can make their own platform,
most
but
people
Twitter
on the
can
left.
ban whoever
I
it
do
wants.
think at this point in history, you should be able to have a social media platform and exclude any specific group you want and just say that's the way we do it, right? And if you don't like it, boycott us, right? So like
yeah, no, that doesn't work that way. No. I am not so libbed up that I am like libertarian as it pertains to like anti civil rights.
I wouldn't have said this in 1964 when we have to pass a Civil Rights Act. But at this point, I think you should have the right to be an asshole who destroys your reputation and suffers the penalties.
Bro, please do not compare Donald Trump being banned off Twitter to fucking a platform like Twitter being like, we no longer want to serve black people. Please. You have to understand there are differences between good things and bad things, okay? Why? Why are people unable to comprehend that? Like, why can't you just say, it's okay If someone is a consistent violator of the platform's terms of service, they can get banned. That's fine. But the platform shouldn't be able to dictate that, like, black people can't be on the platform. Okay? You are so fucking annoying because you are basically offering concessions or offering a talking point, a counter to others on the other side. Okay? You are offering a very easy counter to the trigonometry folks to turn around and be like, well, what do you mean?
Is in the marketplace of ideas, right? So I think if you want to just have a social media network for beautiful people, right, or people who are, guys who are over 6'2" and blonde hair and blue eyes, right? I can't get on. You should feel free to raise money for that enterprise, launch it, and I'll laugh when it fails, right? So like that's now under some construal, that kind of thing, is or should be illegal, if you're just a normal person on the left, but. I think at this moment in history it shouldn't be. But in any case, when I look at Twitter, I see a company that has terms of service, which people like Alex Jones and Trump clearly violated. I mean, whether they in fact violated this terms of service as written, I think they violated any coherent terms of service that Twitter should have had, right? Like you shouldn't knowingly be able to turn your mob on a private citizen and ruin their lives through doxing, right? Which is what Jones and Trump were doing. It just again and again and again to people.
Fair. Okay.
Jones was doing it with the Sandy Hook parents, right? You literally have.
But Sam, you're conflating two very different people. I mean, Alex Jones does not belong in this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in Alex Jones.
Why not? If it's the principle of the matter, these guys love fucking having no nuanced conversations when it comes to principles. But then all of a sudden, when you fucking lump in Alex Jones to the conversation, it's like, no. Why? Who gets to decide that Alex Jones is not allowed on the platform, but Donald Trump is allowed on the platform? Why is it? You want to know why? Because everyone is not fucking. Every single person is the same. Every single person. At least I admit it. A lot of these people can't. They have to act like they have some level of principled stance on this matter. They're like free speech absolutists. Alex Jones violates the terms of service. He's gone. Why? Because, he's not defensible. Trigonometry can't defend Alex Jones, but trigonometry can defend Trump because Trump is more normalized. Trump is the president. You can defend Donald Trump, but you can't defend Alex Jones. So he's like, I have to make it seem like there is some weird fucking principle that makes it so that Alex Jones can be banned, but Donald Trump can't. Yeah, the only principle is whether it's appropriate or not, that you can defend them.
But I would dispute that. I think Trump is essentially, we got Alex Jones as president of the United States. I don't think they're very different people. I think that it's the same phenomenon in my world. Because just the level of misinformation, disinformation, lying, the charlatanism, the conscious fraudulence of everything at scale, and the targeting of individuals with known consequences, right? Like Trump, every time Trump singles out a specific citizen and says, look at this jackass who's trying to, whatever the claim would be, that is a human sacrifice. We know that person's life is just never the same again because he's turned tens of millions of morons on that person and, vicious morons on that. That's the core of the Trump phenomenon. Is now and has been for many years. Really,
that dude suddenly grew a brain. What the fuck? No, dude. Sam Harris always did this shit. Once the Obama administration was out, and Trump moved beyond the Muslim ban, because like Trump Muslim ban, Sam Harris was like, okay, shit's good. Actually, Trump understands the fear or the threat that the Islamic world poses to America. Sam Harris also has literally had and defended Douglas Murray, or was it Charles Murray, the bell curve guy? Was it Charles Murray? Yeah, it is Charles Murray. Sam Harris has defended the basically the father of American neo-race realism, Charles Murray, the guy who wrote the guy who wrote the bell curve, that basically states that like black people are inherently inferior because look at the data, look at their IQ, across the board.
At the beginning, and since he, certainly since he became the front runner and certainly since he became elected in 2016, it's a personality cult. I mean, it has all the dynamics of a personality cult. These are not reasoning. Yes, there are a few calculated people like Peter Thiel on the margins who have some story as to why they would back him, right? But the core of the cult, which is all nested with QAnon and conspiracy thinking and the big lie, and it's like Trump can do no wrong, right? That is so. As a Venn diagram, it overlaps 80% with the Alex Jones phenomenon. So I see them as the same problem. I see these are if they're not actually clinically diagnosable as psychopaths, they're the next best thing. These are people who are so malignantly selfish and so careless with respect to the consequences of their actions in the lives of others that if you own a platform or you're
I love when people say Sam Harris didn't actually support the Muslim ban. When like the main reason why Sam Harris didn't support the Muslim ban is because it didn't feature fucking Saudi Arabia. Like the main reason why Sam Harris was critical of the Muslim ban was because it did not include, and I'm reading his words, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, or Lebanon, any of which has been a more fertile source of jihadist terrorism than several of the countries Trump named. Okay? Yes, he did say it's unethical with respect to the plight of refugees, but it's bound to be ineffective in stopping the spread of Islamism. Okay? However, most of what's being said in opposition to Trump's order is thoroughly contaminated by identity politics and liberal delusion. For those of you who say Sam Harris is like argument, Sam Harris's argument was against Muslim ban is silly as fuck. Okay? How are people fans of Hasan and defend dumbass Sam Harris? Because Sam Harris uses what I call clinical language, okay? He uses neutral language. He uses neutral language that appeals to a lot of STEM lords on the internet who think that he is just speaking objective facts that are not perfectly blinded by his pre-established biases, okay? That's it. So a lot of people who have never watched me in a veil of civility and rationality, exactly. And a lot of people who watch me and maybe watched him will listen to his propagandizing, okay, towards Muslims and probably agree with a lot of it. Because Sam Harris doesn't say Muslims are bad because they're goat fuckers and should not want to fucking, should not be in America. He's too smart for that, okay? He doesn't he is Islamophobic, but you need to capture the Islamophobia and the motivation behind what Sam Harris is saying. Do you understand? Like, he will use he will turn Islam into a monolith, okay? A monolithic structure. And then point to Wahhabist extremism, fundamentalists within Islam, and make the false claim that all Islam is like this and it is completely devoid of the material conditions. Do you understand? He tries to, exactly, you called it right. He tries to intellectualize the racism, which is why he likes people like Douglas Murray, or rather, we'll have a conversation with the likes of Douglas Murray. Because Douglas Murray is like the intellectual racist's favorite author. He is the Karl Marx of racism, if you will, the modern day Karl Marx of racism. He gives you the underpinnings, the racism theory, the empirical evidence, which is not, of course, real empirical evidence, is not true, but he gives you what seems like empirical evidence to basically theory craft your, oh, did I say fucking Douglas Murray again? God damn it. Douglas Murray is another anti-woke dickhead. Charles Murray. Oh, fuck. Do you understand?
Overseeing a public company that owns a platform, why should the government force you to keep these people on, right? Like you should be free to say, sorry, you're not on my watch. Are you going to be having these consequences? And with Trump, it was after January 6th. It was just, I mean, that's when it happened. I thought it happened a year too late. But I mean, January 6th finally convinced Dorsey he should kick Trump off. And that, I mean, if that's not going to convince you that, you know, at that point, we had a sitting president who for months and months and months, I mean, you know, at least 6 or 8 months, you know.
Yes, Gift Smooth is correct. He also uncritically accepts the authority of state violence, or rather the American state's violence. One of the most informative conversations that I have ever read that basically exposes Sam Harris's fundamentally flawed ideas about Islam and how to deal with the problem of Islam comes from the conversation that he had with Noam Chomsky, where Noam Chomsky basically fucking eviscerated his asshole, okay? Noam Chomsky basically turned his asshole into a Louis Vuitton purse, inside and out. He made Islamophobic Ben Stiller look like a little baby, okay?
Certainly months prior to the November election, would not commit to a peaceful transfer of power. And then he did, you know, certainly something, whether it was everything in his power or just a lot, he managed to see that we did not have a peaceful transfer of power, right? And then, you know, so what's the mob going to do on January 7th and 8th and 9th, you know, if you just leave Trump on the platform? I just thought it was a very simple decision to kick him off, and it totally analogous to the Alex Jones decision. I mean, Alex Jones is just less consequential, but I mean, there are Sandy Hook parents who have had to move 10 times since their kids were murdered. That's all on Alex Jones, right? And it's all conscious. It's all he could see the consequences of his actions in real time. It's not like he woke up after 5 years and thought, oh my God, I can't believe that, you know, it was totally inadvertent. I released a podcast and, you know, then it had this totally unforeseeable.
For the record, one could make the argument about Sam Harris and all of the maybe not directly targeted attacks, but the broader attacks as he laid gently upon the tent pole of Islamophobia and put his back directly into it and created an environment, even among like liberal and centrist circles, where he normalized Islamophobia and made the lives of Muslims worse overall as a consequence of the hostility within his rhetoric. So if he can understand that for Alex Jones, maybe he should be able to understand that for Islamophobia. Of course, he's never going to you know, agree with that perspective because he thinks that's a morally righteous and a just cause.
Consequence in the lives of these grieving parents? No, he monetized their misery with just a blizzard of lies.
He's also the guy who's responsible for Islamophobia doesn't exist because Islam is not a race one-liner that your average anti-SJW would blurt out in 2015. Yes, true. Like, his debate with Cenk, the 3-hour debate with Cenk, was like a big turning point for a lot of the anti-Bush liberals that basically went either the Young Turks like sock them way or in a path towards like more tolerant approaches to Islam, even though Cenk himself is like an r/atheist, you know what I mean? He's like an ex-Muslim. Or the Sam Harris style, like I hate SJW culture. Woke culture is like woke culture stops us from recognizing the threat of Islam.
Alex Jones is, for me, a different case, but I hear what you're saying.
Trump is just...
I hear what you say. In your mind, they're similar.
He got the reputation washing of having successfully become president. You know, he's Alex Jones.
Okay. Yeah. Francis, before you move us into COVID, let me try from a different angle, Sam, because I want to explore this intellectual point, right? Do you really want to live in a country where you have a digital public square, which in my opinion, Twitter is? We can disagree about that if you want, but that's my opinion.
He does do the same for Christians. Oh, by the way, fun fact, but I also have had an impromptu debate with Sam Harris way back in the day before I popped off, even on the Young Turks. He didn't know who the fuck I was, but we had a brief conversation about Islam and its dangers, its unique dangers at the Equinox in Santa Monica, where I kind of brought it up to him. Like I acted like I knew who he was, like a fanboy. And who am I going to do? No. This is way before I was like popping, like not even popping at the Young Turks. And in that conversation, he basically revealed his bigotry His bigotry being that he basically turned around and said, look behind you, there's a Santa Monica Pier right there. And he said, like, no, there is no video. Why would I have fucking filmed a normal interaction, like a brief confrontation with fucking Sam Harris? He basically said, there's a pier right there. And for those of you who say, like, oh, dude, you're making up the story or whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter because he's literally openly stated this perspective before publicly as well. So if you don't want to believe me, you can search his material to find exactly what he has said. Okay? Where he said, the Santa Monica Pier behind you, if it exploded, who would you think did that? Because I brought up the threat that, like, religious fundamentalism is as equal, basically. Okay? And he said, if that pier blew up behind you, who would you think is responsible for it? He said, you sprayed Will? Yeah, okay, dude. I'll just end stream. Thanks, man. He said, who would you think is most responsible? Okay? And I was like, I don't know. I would have to see the details. He's like, well, Muslims. He was like, statistically speaking, it would be Muslims. Which, by the way, statistically, that's not true either. Okay? You wouldn't think it's Mormons that blew up the pier. You wouldn't think it's Christians that blew up the pier. You would think it's Muslims. Okay? And, of course, statistically speaking, it's more likely that it's an anti-government white supremacist extremist. Okay? But he was basically saying that because that's his opinion. That is his personal opinion. That's his personal bias. No, that isn't true statistically, especially in the USA. What a fucktard argument. Yeah, it's not true. But it fits his bigotry, and he thought that I was, a fan of his. So he thought that I would agree with him on that. He thought that that would be a good own. Okay? So in that regard, there is basically nothing between, there is no difference between Sam Harris and Andrew Tate. The difference is, like, Andrew Tate is doing that for misogyny, okay? Which is harder to pin down, I guess, unless you are literally doing it like Andrew Tate. But doing it for Islamophobia is much, much harder to recognize because a lot of people are Islamophobic, especially in post 9/11 America.
The digital public square, and you have a company that has clearly one-sided enforcement. I hear what you're saying about delegitimizing the electoral process that Trump did,
right.
And I was concerned about that. I think you can't question the system in that way. But when you see that he gets banned and then a story about Hunter Biden gets banned, that under the guise of it being Russian disinformation, we later learn it wasn't Russian disinformation. Right. That to a lot of people seems like, I said...
Yeah, he has said multiple times publicly that Islam is uniquely bad, much more than Judaism and Christianity, because if a suicide bomber did an attack, you'd assume it's Muslim doing that because Islam is inherently a vile religion, and this is why Muslims can't assimilate in the West. He has said that many, many times over, very publicly too.
When we were talking to Joe Rogan, it's putting your hand on the scales in favor of one side. In the digital public square, you add that to the banning of Trump and lots of other people being banned from one side predominantly.
Right.
Is that the world you want to live in, where one team gets to just ban people it disagrees with off the platform? It gets to pretend that things that are true are not true. It gets to shut down the sharing of information with people who want to make their own democratic choice?
Well, it's a hard question, and there are pieces of the question that are individually hard. It's like the Hunter Biden laptop story is something that I still don't have a full opinion about. I actually don't know what we should have done about that. I mean, so I see the reason. I see both sides of it. I can argue either side of it. So let's leave that piece aside. The bias on the platform. So either Twitter is a company that can do what it wants, right? It can have its own terms of service. It can change its policies. It can change. It can decide to. It can have a point of view or not, right? Or we have to seize it as some kind of crucial piece of public infrastructure that has to
Do you not think that it is a
terms.
crucial piece of public infrastructure?
I think people who are addicted to Twitter feel it is. Right. Most, and I think it's, I don't think it should be. And it's odd to say that it's just so. First of all, it's just. I mean, Facebook is much bigger, right? It's just that we have a lot of smart people, journalists, brands, political people concentrated on Twitter. So Twitter moves the conversation more than Facebook does, but it's the scale of it is much smaller. I don't know. I just feel like people can start their own companies, which they have, right? They can start competitors to Twitter. There are many people who, Twitter is not, it's still a failing business, right? It's like, it's not, it doesn't work really. Facebook is a much better business. There's nothing stopping Facebook from becoming stickier for intellectuals and journalists, and it's attracting more of the conversation over there. I don't know. It's an extreme move to say you can't be biased, right? Like who's going to say that? But behind the saying of that is a law in the end, and therefore it's a gun. Therefore it's jail time for the person who wants to keep breaking the law. Right? It's like, just imagine if the Twitter board, like everyone gets what they want. Everyone who's of this opinion gets what they want. We're gonna come in and enforce something like a zero bias state in Twitter insofar as that's possible. And if the employees and the board just say, sorry, we have a point of view. We don't like these people and we like these people. So now you just break up the company? You just say, I thought it should have happened with Twitter is I thought Jack Dorsey should have deleted it. I literally thought he would have got the Nobel Peace Prize had he just at a certain point deleted it, right? I don't. So in any case, should they be forced to be impartial? I'm very skeptical of that. Should they be cajoled by unhappy people like yourselves or like the Trump fans to behave better?
I'm just putting a counter argument.
Yeah,
Sam.
I think so. Yeah, yes, I think if they were going to be, the first thing to admit is it may be impossible to do this impeccably, right? It's like until we have perfect artificial intelligence, it's just going to be impossible to be truly consistent with your terms of service, because you're always going to be able to find the example of the thing that was not appropriately moderated.
Yes, but if we all know that if that...
I'm not a Sam Harris fan, and I acknowledge the material conditions that lead to extremism, but how can you see that the text of a religious book has nothing to do with the behaviors of his fundamentalist followers? Do you think that Israel is behaving in the way that it does as a violent apartheid genocidal state as a consequence of what's written in the Torah? Or do you think that there is additional materialist reasons as to why they're behaving this way? Do you think that America's actions in Iraq was actually about Christian fundamentalism and that it is directly a consequence of the Bible? If so, how do you marry that concept with the reality of liberation theology, the works of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, for example, and many others? You're quick to say yes in the chat. I read you. Religion is a tool, okay? Religion is a tool. The mechanism used for social control. That's it. John Brown was a Christian abolitionist, a radical Christian abolitionist. He was hanged for practicing his radical methods of trying to abolish slavery. Yes, my beef isn't with religion, it's with conservatives. I can separate the two, even if a lot of religious people are conservative.
That laptop was Donald Trump's Jr.
Oh yeah,
this would be treated. That's all I'm asking.
Oh yeah.
About,
Well,
right?
so let's take that piece. I think it was totally appropriate to view Trump to be existing in a.
Or conservative too. Do not ban this guy. I want to know what he thinks I'm conservative on.
Domain that was orthogonal to partisan politics. My criticism of Trump is totally nonpartisan. Right? There's literally nothing I say about Trump that I could say about any other Republican, right? And I think Liz Cheney is a total hero, right? So, and I don't agree with her politics at all, right? Like Liz Cheney is a religious maniac by my lights, right? And in that sense, kind of a terrifying political figure. Like,
interesting though, but somehow still meeting the standards of Sam Harris. Interesting.
Like the old me who was just worried about Christian theocracy in the United States would have just revolted at everything she would attempt to implement as a politician. But at this moment,
Liz, waterboarding is not torture. Cheney, by the way, is who he's talking about.
She has no bigger fan than me because of how she's dealing with the Trump phenomenon. The Trump phenomenon is not a matter of political partisanship. He's just a sui generis phenomenon, and it's analogous to having elected Alex Jones president of the United States. It's not a matter of his I probably agree with half of his policies or more than half of his policies. It's not a matter of policy. It's a matter of having someone who's totally.
That was a joke. He did. He was also pro waterboarding, pro racial profiling. He's pro all the awful things. You're listening to him say the correct things as he positions himself against Donald Trump without recognizing that he is literally on the record as pro torture, on the record as pro racial profiling of Muslims, on the record of all of those things.
Unfit to have power, be given more power than any person in a generation, and he's unfit in every possible way. It's not that he's just got a few screws loose. Like every screw is loose. Every screw that you would want totally cranked down is loose or non-existent in him. And so that's my argument. So my argument is that it was appropriate for Twitter and the heads of big tech and the heads of journalistic organizations to feel that they were in the presence of something like a once-in-a-lifetime moral emergency, right? Whereas this is not the same thing as not liking George Bush, or not liking John McCain, or not liking Mitt Romney for their politics. Here's a guy who is capable of anything, right? He's not ideological, but he's a black hole of selfishness, right? He's just, and so there's no telling what he's going to do. And we cannot afford to have 4 more years with this guy, right? And so...
yes, understand that as long as our infallible institutions are doing all of the awfulness overseas, but it's being done deliberately, then that's kind of okay, especially if it's being conducted towards our ideological enemies, whether it's China or whether it's, Muslims in general. It's Donald Trump's volatility that is dangerous because he is a force to be reckoned with because he's so selfish. He's just like his selfish desires will undermine American imperialism at certain points, and that's terrifying.
So what should well-intentioned people do who have a lot of power in these various ways? You're running the New York Times, you're running CNN, you're running Twitter. What should they conspire to do?
Admit that it's their fault. Admit that Trump is their fault. And I'm someone from the left.
Absolutely. That's the perverse thing. It's totally their fault. CNN gave us Trump. Yeah. Before CNN gave us Trump, Mark Burnett gave us Trump. I mean, if there's one person who could have not done what he did and could have closed the door to this whole phenomenon, it was Mark Burnett. But yeah, no, by giving him the attention, but he was great ratings, for the whole run up to the 2016 election. Oh yeah, no one has clean hands here. But at the 11th hour, when who knows how this election is going to go, who knows what the capacity for disinformation at the last minute to tip the balance is, then what do you do with the Hunter Biden laptop story when we already know we know how this played out in 2016 with the Hillary Clinton email press conference where Comey in an abundance of scrupulosity felt like he had to come before the cameras, I think 10 days out
Rumi Kubo, thank you for the fight.
From the election and say, we're going to open up this investigation again because we've got Anthony Weiner's laptop. We could see, again, her failure to become president was overdetermined. She was an appallingly bad candidate. Mm-hmm. But in terms of just tracking the poll numbers, you could that was the killing blow to her candidacy, right? That final moment. And this was a highly analogous situation. We're going to open up this laptop from hell, and the news cycle for who knows how long.
He's literally just openly showcasing that he has no moral consistency, which is understandable, while still trying to act like he has some sort of integrity in the arguments that he's conducting, because he has to maintain that. Otherwise, like, his STEM Lord audience will lose interest in him, which he doesn't. Okay. And saying that no amount of, awfulness, because he would consider, suppressing the information of Hunter Biden's laptop to be awful in other circumstances. But in this circumstance, this level of awfulness was totally appropriate, because Donald Trump presented a unique threat. Okay? That's it. He's just biased, and he's biased, and he's trying to normalize his biases. Biased, and he's trying to rationalize these biases in this conversation.
Is going to be just conceivably just a nuclear bomb of an October surprise, and we're going to get 4 more years of Trump if we actually give this a fair hearing.
Which is ironic, because it's so stupid. No, that the Hunter Biden laptop contents was not a nuclear bomb. In a weird way, he literally is making their point, which is, if it's such a matter of national importance that it could truly shock the entire country into voting for Trump instead of fucking Joe Biden, then suppressing that information is inappropriate. And it's true, it is inappropriate if that's the case, but that's not the fucking case. And yes, he's making an analogy to Anthony Weiner's laptop while talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. He's basically saying, after I saw what happened with Anthony Weiner in the second FBI investigation that swung the election in favor of Donald Trump, I was terrified shitless of the same thing happening again, but with Hunter Biden's laptop. Okay? This is what happens when your brain is so completely and transparently broken by the right-wing reactionaries that you court on a daily basis. You take on their framing, and then you build your worldview upon their framing. The Hunter Biden laptop is profoundly important, actually. So important that it was okay that Twitter colluded with the Joe Biden campaign and suppressed its information from being revealed and being released. So important that it was all right that the media never covered it. When in fact, that's not what you're supposed to say. What you're supposed to say is, at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Okay? Which you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky, like the 5 that Rumi Kubo gave, or Dynamic Jap 13. Thank you for the 5 gift subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads. Here's the 1-minute ad break now.
But Sam,
but you can't do that, Sam. Surely you've got to realise that you've got to be fair. And the thing that I want to
we're all equal before the law.
Yeah,
aren't we?
And the other
this isn't the law. But
I know it's not the law. But if you accept my supposition that this is the public square, then it is the law. It is. If it is the public square, then it is the law. Now you're arguing it's not the public square, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. That's fine.
Yeah,
but why don't we move on? Because I think we've done enough.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
He's
of
sucked
course.
up a lot of it.
He's got to have it as doing that.
As far as the Comey investigation being that powerful, the second revelation, 11 days before the election, yes, of course it was important. Of course it was profoundly impactful. Why? It was profoundly impactful because Hillary Clinton was a dog shit candidate. Okay? Hillary Clinton was a dog shit candidate who ignored key parts of the Electoral College that she took for granted. She constantly and consistently undermined Donald Trump, didn't realize the genuine threat that Donald Trump posed. That's why she did the Pied Piper strategy even before Donald Trump rose to prominence, okay, where she played a role in Donald Trump's prominence in the Republican primaries, because she thought that he would be easy to defeat, okay? But at the end, the election came down to such tiny margins in key states that, yes, the Jim Comey letter, even if it got like 10,000 people here and 10,000 people there to be like, oh, fuck this, I'm not going out, I'm not fucking voting, I'm sure that she'll win anyway. You know what I mean? Even if it was that, in that case, yes, that still moved the needle.
No, but I'll just say, just finally, I do, again, it's like a coin toss for me, the Hunter Biden laptop thing, because I do understand how corrosive it is for an institution like the New York Times to show obvious bias and inconsistency and dishonesty in how they. It's like they couldn't even frame it honestly. It's not like it's like the way I would frame it is. Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all,
so libbed up, dude.
It's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and
nobody cares about Hunter Biden. Everyone cares about, even the people who are like pushing for the Hunter Biden laptop story only cared about the Hunter Biden laptop story as far as like what it revealed about Joe Biden, okay? This idea that like, oh, no one cares about the fucking laptop story or whatever is so stupid. Oh, if he had children in his fucking basement. Yeah, no shit. It would be a problem because Joe Biden would have worked to collude with authorities to ensure that he doesn't see any sort of legal repercussions from the dead murdered children in the hypothetical that he brought up.
Understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view, right? Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was absolutely right, but I think it was warranted, right? And again, it's a coin.
I hate it because like, even though I agree with a certain aspect of this, actually, I don't agree with the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story. So I guess I disagree with him on that. I also disagree with the way he's arguing. Like, I do agree that Joe Biden being president is better than Donald Trump. That's the only thing we are in agreement on, okay? Sam Harris and I in this conversation. Every other fucking lead up to that conclusion, or every other lead up that justifies all the actions that justify Joe Biden becoming president over Donald Trump is so fucking stupid. It blows my mind. It's like he is so caught up in the right-wing ecosystem that he can't comprehend a world outside of like the false premises that the reactionary right media regularly creates. Like Hunter Biden's laptop story is so fucking important. It's not important. There was nothing in the contents that was like truly fucking mind-boggling. And the media suppressing that information is silly, especially if you think that the story was so impactful that it would have literally stopped Joe Biden from winning, then the media suppressing that information is really fucked up. You're unironically handing conservatives their talking point.
Coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
That particular piece
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement?
No, fuck the kids in the basement. I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power.
You're content with a conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon. You know, if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth, and we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course, right? Is that a conspiracy? You know, like some of that conversation would be in public, some of it would be in private. We have a massive problem. We have an existential threat, right? Politically speaking, I consider Trump an existential threat to our democracy, right? Now, he's not going to destroy the world, very likely.
If you destroy democracy in the process of protecting democracy.
No, but that doesn't destroy, no, what I'm not suggesting, at no point was I suggesting we should stuff ballots or actually break the machinery of democracy.
Why not?
But political opinion is already...
Why not? Why not? No, why not? Literally, a good interview in this situation would say, why not? If Donald Trump is such a clear and present threat, like akin to a fucking asteroid impacting Earth by your words, why not stuff ballots? That's the problem. That's the problem with his way of thinking. It's a horrible argument to make, and that's the reason why right wing is eating his ass in the fucking QRTs right now, because he is so cartoonishly liberal and so cartoonishly libbed up that he literally has become the cartoonish depiction of what Republicans claim liberals are like. What, you're not going to fucking stuff ballots to combat an asteroid from impacting the Earth if that's what it takes? You know? That's what happens when you fucking lean into the Hunter Biden thing is like that big of a deal. It's not.
Being just completely inundated with misinformation, biased takes, half-truths, and outright lies, right? Like, and or just the amplification of bad or misleading information based on, you know, the algorithm, right? So it's already just an abattoir of opinion, right? And now the question is, you know, what can you do with your own biases and your own to get the outcome you think is actually better, not just for yourself personally, but for the world, right? So like I'm completely unconflicted in the claim that a first Trump term was bad and a second Trump term would be bad, and it literally doesn't matter what else was on the menu. Like literally, pick a random American better than Trump in the Oval Office. Like the likelihood that you're going to get someone who's worse than Trump, given what I consider that is bad about Trump, is, I mean, it's on the order of 1 in a million, right? Like you're not going to get worse than Trump if you pick it random. And you know, Hillary Clinton, for all of her flaws, was not worse than Trump. Joe Biden, we could have known Joe Biden was going to just be comatose in office, not worse than Trump, right? Kamala Harris, not worse. Like it's all, and again, it's not just a marginal call. It's just, these are people who are normal politicians who are so much more constrained by predictable machinery, right?
Bro, I love this. Dude, he is such a fucking institutionalist liberal. I love that. He just straight up saying Donald Trump's worst offense was undermining the integrity of our institutions with his volatility. That's awesome. That's so funny to me, dude. It's like, yeah, if you truly believe in the American institutions, then yeah, you're going to have this take, I guess, that like the worst possible thing Trump did was ruin the reputation of American institutions. It's like, it's not the American imperialism, it's not American capitalism. It's not the death and destruction that befalls upon Americans that aren't affluent enough to overcome the horrifying consequences of anthropogenic climate change. It's literally that Donald Trump was offensive. He was offensive. He said meanie bobini words. He routinely dropped civility and communicated to a public that was desperately wanting to hear those things that the Republican Party was doing anyway, but without actually saying it in a way that the hogs understand. That's so funny.
There's such less of an opportunity there to destroy institutions that we have to rely on, right? With any of those people in charge, including a random person in charge, a random person who's going to be terrified at the responsibility of the office and default to expert opinion, you know, across the board. No, Trump is an Alex Jones level figure for me. So, you know, it's analogous. Like a smaller problem is to just for some billionaire to buy the New York Times and give it to Alex Jones to run, right? That would be a catastrophic loss and mistake, but that's a smaller problem than getting Trump reelected.
Hey, Francis, do you like journalism?
Oh my God. Okay.
Really about Trump is, I think, could you agree that with Trump, the reason he's created is because he's a symptom of the system, whereby ordinary people feel that their voices aren't being heard.
Yeah.
They realize that, you know, Washington is a machine that doesn't particularly care about them.
Okay, but like Donald Trump was a fucking product of the machine. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind, dude. Okay, hereby it is illegal for Oibros to do commentary on American politics. I've made it illegal, especially if you look this wet, okay?
They were betrayed time after time, many times by the Democrats who said that they were representing.
This guy is literally bizarro John Oliver. I just realized. Oh my fucking Lord.
Ordinary working people, like the Labour Party were in my country, and they felt that these politicians didn't care. So why not vote for Trump? What else have you got to lose?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think that explains most of his support and certainly his success. Yeah, but I think we should be honest about how, well, both uninformed and nihilistic by turns that attitude is, right? It's just like it's not. I mean, that is like the clearest eruption.
I think the funniest way to fucking routinely have the exact same conversation is by hyper focusing your framework on the most like symbolic, idealistic bullshit possible, and that is just woke culture. Like Donald Trump got elected because of woke culture. The wokies, or sorry, wokeism was running rampant, and that's why Donald Trump got elected. It's like it has nothing to do with the underlying material conditions and the anxiety and the fact that the Republican Party was channeling that anxiety and frustration very adequately to a racial agitprop, which, of course, Sam Harris has also played a role in justifying and legitimizing, and that the Democratic Party's feckless, institutionalist, and otherwise neutered attitude towards said racial agitation created ample ground, like created an incredibly ripe opportunity for someone to utilize right-wing populism and gain this position of power. It's incredible. Yeah, do not make any sort of analysis. Do not make any sort of analysis beyond like it was the wokies. It was the fucking woke culture, the woke SJWs that created Donald Trump. Not. You're fucking crazy.
Of Thanatos, in our lifetime, right? It's just like let's just burn it all down on some level. Like this guy's our wrecking ball. We hate the elites. We hate the so-called experts. Go fuck yourselves. We're just going to enjoy just watching this thing, swing through everything you care about, and just the sounds of explosions are going to just give us pleasure, right? Like that. Like that's where we are with tens of millions of people in this country. That is a very scary basis from which to try to cooperate at scale and produce political outcomes that are actually going to be good, right? And again, the extremes amplify each other, right? So you've got Trumpism. I mean, there was no greater goad to wokeism than Trumpism, right? And so I put myself in second place to nobody, although I probably spent a little bit less time on it than some people we could name in the revulsion I feel to the extreme left, activism, right? I mean, it's as dishonest as it can possibly be, and its dishonesty is harder to parse for smart people.
Yeah, he's revulsion to the extreme left.
Ethical people find what's happening on the left much more confusing than what's happening on the right. So it's like people ask me and I spend much more time focused on the left than I do on Trump or on the right. Because
not in this interview, Sam.
You go to me.
Look,
you got a full dose of my Trump.
Revulsion is a strong word. Why? And I feel exactly the same thing. And you know why? We talked about my book before. I come from.
Yeah, he has these guys. These guys are. I love the broad diversity of ideas offered on this podcast called Trigonometry, of far right to middle right to like center right. You know what I mean? They're so good. God, what a bunch of broad-ranging, brilliant, diversely opinionated folks here. I have extreme revulsion too. Trust me, we all fucking hate the left, dude. We fucking fuck those guys. It's like, these are some of the most powerless motherfuckers, okay? I say I hate the left all the fucking time. But everybody knows where I'm coming from when I say that shit. Everybody knows I'm a leftist. Okay, there's nothing more leftist, some could argue, than hating the left. Okay, it's the most leftist thing you can do. But ultimately, there are a broad set of ideas that I abide by that if you also agree with, I will most likely agree with your worldview across the board. If your activism, if your worldview is centered around empathy, okay, even if you're sometimes being narcissistic and trying to fucking talk about everything from a framework that centers you in the conversation, like when I say, hey, take a shower, you fucking weirdos. And then you go, well, I'm actually, paralyzed and I have extreme anxiety or whatever, and I have waterophobia or whatever the fuck. I'm like, shut the fuck up. But ultimately, I know that your heart is probably in the right place. And, I want you to stop being fucking cringe and weird. and I want you to be a better advocator and a better communicator for leftist values instead of being a fucking cringe, joy kill woke lord that everyone is going to fucking despise. And you probably have rabies. Waterophobia is rabies. Anyway, so like those people suck and they're annoying and everyone understands that they're fucking annoying, okay? And most people now even understand that they're being selfish when they do this, when they're like, "Oh, I'm stink maxing, like fuck you. I'm hydrophobic." Because I have rabies. You're being neurodivergent. But if you are so fucking brain broken that you hear the first person that says that to you, the first time someone says, "Sam Harris, I can't believe you. I'm stink maxing. I have rabies. You're being neurodivergent right now to my rabies." And then you literally, your brain breaks. And now you're like, I'm finding myself agreeing more and more with Nazis. Then you weren't really a fucking leftist. And that's the problem with a lot of these people, is that they have no moral conviction. They have no moral compass. That's the problem with being a fucking centrist, okay? It's the rock the boat Andes. Like, they have no loyalty to anything other than the current pre-established capitalist, white supremacist, misogynistic, transphobic fucking patriarchal hierarchy. That's it. Don't rock that boat. Because that boat's fine. I'm on the boat right now. And I don't like Trump because he's rocking the boat in the other way. He's going too far to the right. And he's rocking the boat a little bit. Just keep it steady, motherfucker. That's what centrists believe in. And that is despicable. It's despicable because you're not my fucking ally. All right?
From a society that's seen some of these ideas being implemented. Yeah. Why do you feel revulsion? A very, very...
Okay, see, you're doing it. 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 You're doing that thing. You're doing that thing. You are being annoying. You are being annoying. I am making a hyperbolic point, and you are also subscribing to that point, and then you're literally saying, no, I am actually that person. Me. Talk about me. You're undermining my lived experience. You do not matter in this conversation. Recognize that you don't have to fucking chime in every time I say something hyperbolic, because I'm not talking directly to you. Right now I am, but I'm specifically talking... Oh, that's the worst part. This motherfucker takes showers. Oh, he's talking about depressed people. Maybe Sam Harris is right. You know what? I've realized Brett Weinstein, Sam Harris, Joe Rogan, these guys have a lot of good ideas. I think we should melt the poor. I think climate change is fake, actually. Shut the fuck up, okay? Here, this is one of the best things I can do for you, okay? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. Your opinion does not matter, okay? Even if it's your own personal experience, right now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Shut up. We're talking about something differently. You don't have to fucking chime in with your own personal experience when we're having a conversation against the united enemy, okay, of liberalism. You're selfish. But seeing that that person is selfish and recognizing that that person is selfish, even though they're using the right terminology, even though they are basically weaponizing the empathy that you feel in your heart, should not change your reality. All of a sudden, you shouldn't go, oh my God, that guy's being selfish and now everyone on the left is like this. They're just personally weaponizing their own fucking centered experience and a empathetic community to fucking get snaps and center the conversation around themselves. Maybe everyone is selfish like this on the left should not be your first opinion. What your first opinion in this case should be, yeah, that person might be neurodivergent. That person might be neurotic. That person might be narcissistic. But ultimately, they probably have an empathetic worldview on top of that. And a lot of people have this kind of idiotic fucking perspective and they want to hear themselves speak. But that should not change your overarching worldview. Okay? The idea that like the woke left were mean to me or were fucking annoying to me or were cringe to me, and that's why I changed everything about my worldview, just only implies... Okay? Actually, you're being very insensitive. Your words are doing more harm than you think, especially when your community is filled with dorks that don't shower. Yeah, well, I want those dorks to shower. Okay? My point is this. Those fucking dorks are going to be in every community, okay? They're just dorks or narcissistic or even mean sometimes. But that should not change your worldview. Your worldview should still be rooted within empathy. Okay? It should be grounded within empathy. You should still advocate for the right things, regardless of how fucking cringe sometimes your allies might look like. Okay? That's it. Let's continue.
Very strong emotion about this ideology.
Well, because it's I mean, one, it is destroying institutions that I actually care about. Right? It's like, white supremacy and far right lunacy is not affecting institutions that matter. By my lights, right?
Yeah, that's an admission, baby. That's right. I wonder why white supremacy is not all that important to the institutions he cares about. Let me think about that a little bit. That's an admission, motherfucker. That is straight up an admission. Anyone that doesn't see that as an admission is just fucking wrong, okay? I love that.
You could argue it affected the White House and the U.S. government to some degree at the margins. I mean, again, I think allegations of Trump's racism or his alignment with the far right and white supremacy, I think that's been massively exaggerated by the left. And most of the claims to his I actually have no doubt that he's actually racist, but most of the public claims to his racism I think are obviously false and inconsistent. And so it's I think you have to be intellectually honest.
Yeah, it's just the American institutions and the white supremacy rooted within American institutions, a country that was literally founded on genocide and slavery, is actually just marginal. The impact of that long history of unaddressed wrongs is actually just simply marginal. That's how you arrive at Donald Trump is bad, but not for the reasons that you think he's bad. He's bad because he's rocking the boat. Think. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Even as you deride these dangerous people and extremes. The left has, as I'm sure you've pointed out many times.
I mean, you were just criticizing the guy on the video for the way his hair looks. Feel free to criticize shitty political feelings, but criticizing his hair is anything but empathetic. Shut up, you fucking nerd. If you also are the type of fucking weird, wet nerd that looks like a greasy little piglet, then I'm going to make fun of you too, especially if you're the type of greasy little piglet that's like squealing about how wokeism is the real problem, and that's why Donald Trump became president.
Times on your show. I mean, it has captured institutions. It has captured academia. It's captured journalism. It's captured science to an amazing degree. It's captured Hollywood. It's and for reasons that are understandable, because it is hard to figure out what's wrong with Black Lives Matter as a movement. You look at it. It's almost perfectly engineered to just get past the blood-brain barrier and just attached to all the right ethical receptor sites, right? It's like, this is of course I care about, of course racism is disgusting. The last thing I would want to be is a racist. Of course I acknowledge the legacy of slavery and just how hard fought all of our civil rights gains have been in the United States.
Except I just don't think that it has any impact now. That's why you said it was marginal.
Of course I don't want, members of minority groups feeling victimized, much less being victimized.
Feeling victimized.
I want fair hiring practices. Just check all the boxes on to have a good liberal conscience, right? If you're that sort of person and you're confronted by the Black Lives Matter as a social phenomenon and the protests over George Floyd and all of that, it is very hard to see that you're in the presence of a completely dishonest moral panic, right?
Dude, that's awesome. That's great. That is the fieriest of butts, dude. I love that. Dude, the funniest part about all of this is that, like, people think he's like a brave heterodox thinker for being like a 57-year-old guy who fancies himself to be a liberal, who's like just as racist as anybody else, who will just turn around and be like, these institutions aren't all that fucking racist, actually. Like, why? What's the moral panic about black people being fucking massacred? I love that. That's awesome. Because the funniest part about that take isn't just like how asinine it is or how like he very openly will undermine the real and justified anger that people feel towards a militant police force that treats black neighborhoods like territory to be occupied by. You know what I mean? It's the fact that they think this is some kind of like heterodox thinking at play. Oh, a liberal who's anti-BLM. Wow, shocking. No, motherfucker. Republicans make jokes about that all the fucking time too. It's awesome. It's fucking great, dude. I love that. I love that. He's so brave. He's such a critical thinker he's such a critical thinker because he checks all the box and he's like, he's you know, he's a little fruity. You know what I mean? He's like academic. Like, obviously he's liberal. He must be a liberal. But then he says things like, ooh, Black Lives Matter is a moral panic. What? Can he say that? Yeah, motherfucker, of course he can say that. Of course he can fucking say that. What do you mean?
Because there's so many points of contact with real grievance or potential points of contact with real grievance. And so, yeah, it's harder to parse, therefore more interesting, and it's also more consequential in my world because it's vitiating the New York Times and Princeton University and, you know, Science magazine. And it's like, it's a full-on moral panic out there. And what's more, you have this layer of smart people who think all of that's being exaggerated, right? It's not really happening. It's just a few college campuses, a few kids, you know, on a few college campuses. It's just like, you know, 18 people at Yale, you know, lambasting Nicholas Christakis, and everyone else is really just a bystander to this, and it's all being exaggerated. The kernel of truth there is it's still a minority of people who actually believe this stuff, but you know, you only need something like 5 or 8.
But it's really good to endlessly pontificate on it on fucking podcasts with other guys that believe exactly in the same shit that I do. That's the truth. No matter what he's going to follow up the kernel of truth with, that's the reality. The reality is that, yeah, it is like literally fucking 18 people, okay, freaking the fuck out. These institutions that otherwise churn out like, dude. Yale is literally the understudy for the CIA, okay? Yale and Harvard are pound for pound responsible for some of the fucking worst war criminals universally, okay? And you're out here being like, well, but, you know, some of the students got really mad at one of my friends who's a professor who said trans people are delusional. So I guess the entire institution is just fucking, you know, all of a sudden caving to the moral panic. No, motherfucker, they're not caving to the moral panic. They're marketing. And you and the way you operate are also playing along with that marketing. You're allowing Yale to make it seem like they are genuinely they're genuinely fucking advocating for moral righteousness, for the rights and liberties of certain social identities, certain social groups. It's not. They don't give a shit. It's just fucking marketing.
8% of, you know, really energized activist minority to completely co-opt a conversation, and that's what has been accomplished.
But it's not just
Wait, what did he say? The kernel of truth is what?
You only need something like 5 or 8% of, you know, really energized activist minority to completely co-opt a conversation, and that's what has been accomplished.
But it's not just they're a minority; they're an exceptionally powerful minority.
Yep.
Sam.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're the ones who dictate culture. They're the ones who set the tone. They're the ones who, you know, who edit and create new.
Y'all just jealous at this point that you're mad that like transparent pandering to like marginalized identities as a marketing method is currently hot and has been hot for the past couple of years, and you're just upset by that. That's it. There is no other fucking there's no other guiding principle behind this. It's like, oh, dude, they're the ones who are leading everything. What are they leading, you fucking donkey? What the fuck? Every fucking state has basically written murder trans children bills, okay? And you're out here screeching about fucking woke culture at Yale. How can you not see how your head is so far shoved your fucking own asshole that you literally think your breath smells like shit, okay? It's mind-boggling that the wokeism conversation ends and begins in that exact point. It is hyper-specific. It's ultra-narrow. You have to have horse blinders on, okay, to just constantly and endlessly have this conversation. It's hurting your fucking fifis. That's it. There is no undermining of institutions. There is no structural change that comes along with Yale being like, if you don't fucking correctly gender a student, like, we'll write you up. Even though they don't even do that. That doesn't even exist, okay? It blows my mind that this is like an endless conversation of victimhood seeking that these idiots can have over and over and over again in the podcasting circle. And all these other idiotic, also ultra privileged people can just sit there, read it, watch it, and then go and have their little crudités at their fucking get-togethers and talk about how, oh man, the moral panic is really set in. Meanwhile, homelessness is on the fucking rise. The housing market is not going to change. Trans children are like literally under attack everywhere. We just earlier talked about how Matt Walsh and libs of fucking TikTok have basically launched a pogrom towards the Boston Children's Hospital for offering bottom surgery and top surgery to 18-year-olds and up while lying and screaming bloody murder. States are basically criminalizing medical procedures, whether it be abortion access or HRT, to consenting adults. And you're over here talking about a bunch of fucking dumbass tenured professors and their fifis. Have you no shame? Have you no decency? Well, of course, you don't need to have shame and you don't need to have decency when there's enough people funneling money into your fucking Patreons, because they also want to hear that. Dumbasses.
Newspapers.
100%.
So that's the real problem, isn't it? But the question that I want to ask you is, where do you think this is going to go? Where do you think this is going to end up? Because he's more positive about it, and I'm a rabid pessimist.
Right.
Where do you think this is going to go?
Well, I think if I had to bet, I think the vapors of wokeism will magically dissipate at a certain point. I think it's just whether we're going to have one example of hypocrisy or just one own goal that is so spectacular that everyone will just all of a sudden pretend that they were never woke. Like whether it's going to be just going to be a salient moment where you can point to in your timeline, or it's just going to be this magical dissipation of where people start making much more sense on these topics. If I had to bet, I would think that's going to happen, and I don't think it's so. And I think it's going to happen in some short order. I don't think we're going to be having this conversation in 5 years. I would be very surprised if we're having this conversation in 5 years. Now that count me, I guess, as an optimist on that front, and I certainly could be wrong, but I would be surprised. The one caveat I would put there is if we get 4 more years of Trump, then that goes completely out the window. I think, or if we get 4 more years of Trump or a Trump-like phenomenon that's just as provocative to the left, then that calculation changes. But if we got a normal presidency in 2024. Democrat or Republican. I think the woke thing has just become so unpragmatic, and I don't see how people don't begin aging out of it in some short order. I mean, it's somewhat analogous to it's a much bigger phenomenon, but it is analogous to the child sexual abuse satanic panic thing we had in, I don't know if you guys had it in England.
No, we just had the Catholic Church.
Yeah, right, that's right. Yeah, which is the true version of many of these concerns. Yeah. In the States, I don't know if you know the story that.
Okay. Wokeism is something I've only seen and talked about on the internet. Why do they keep pressing that as if it's a thing that has any presence in the real world? Because they are creatures of the internet. They're media creatures, just like I am and just like you are, okay? Just like the Chapo boys are. We're all fucking media creatures of different variety, okay? They think that they're not media creatures. They think that they are like somehow arriving at the truth by constantly fucking crying about like wokeism or whatever like new terminology the reactionary weirdos come up with, okay? The problem is, obviously, efforts for social change are not going to just magically go away unless you solve some of the underlying problems. But we're not going to solve any of the underlying problems, especially when there's buffoons like this guy who's literally like, oh, well, a centrist, a reasonable Democrat or a reasonable Republican will come in to solve the problems. and you know, people will grow out of wokeism. Like, that's not going to ever happen. Do people on the left go to cringe places? Of course they do. Of course. All the fucking time. Should that change your own personal perspective? Not unless you're a bitch, okay? Not unless you are a amorphous blob that has no fucking genuine interest in changing people's worlds, changing their underlying material circumstances, and truly wanting to make marginal change in the right direction to better people's material conditions, okay? To offer them a life of fulfillment. Don't have that. If you don't believe that, you see one fucking leftist person that fancies themselves to be a leftist be cringe, and you're like, all right, I'm out. Fuck this, I'm out. Okay? It's so stupid. Cringe is human nature at this point. You have to look past it to see the point, but maybe people don't want to put that effort in there. Yeah, I mean, his perspective on wokeness is solely based on being correctly called out as Islamophobic. Yeah, I know. It's just, but he is Islamophobic. People complain about cancel culture IRL are just scared of being filmed in a Home Depot while saying slurs and getting fired. That too. But also, there is the other side of it. Okay? No, it's academic shit. The woke schools on some campuses are absolutely feral. Focus on purely aesthetic shit. Upper middle class kids go back to the brunch liberals. No, I know. Rad femmes. Rad lips. I know. I yell at them all the fucking time. They do this shit to me. I get canceled by them every fucking week for a different reason. Okay? But ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's inconsequential, okay? And you, if you legitimately have a worldview that revolves around empathy, and if you legitimately have a worldview that revolves around like helping marginalized people, should be able to overlook that, okay? Should be able to guide people in the right direction. Should be able to organize. But you don't. Those people are just fucking powerless, and they're crying all the fucking time. Part of the reason why they're crying is because they're powerless. That's why they're crying to me, a fucking Twitch streamer, or crying about me, a fucking Twitch streamer, or crying about their college professor. That's what powerless people do when they have nothing, okay? And they feel like they can get some level of like tiny institutional change. But the institution itself is your college campus. The institution yourself is Twitch, okay? A Twitch stream. You understand? That's what powerless people do. And these people, either nefariously or because they're devoid of any sort of real moral compass, use that as a method to make content. Okay? What is this? The desire to exclusively engage with media art made by unproblematic artists is a direct result of Americans viewing media consumption as an inherently political act because it seemingly is all that's left. Absolutely. Holy fuck. I agree with this so much. We've been stripped and socialized out of any real political energy and agency. Dude, this is great. Our ability to consume the only thing remaining that's ours in late capitalism our ability to consume is the only thing remaining that's ours in late capitalism, and as a result, it's become a stand-in or perhaps the sole defining quality of every fucking aspect of being alive today. Consuming is activism, it's love, it's thinking, fill in the blank. When the act of consuming is all you have left, and indeed the only thing society tells you is valuable / meaningful, the act must necessarily be a moral one, which is why people lose their fucking minds deciding what or who is problematic or not, because for these people, the stakes are that high. See, Just Stasi is a great example of this. She comes in here and yells at me every fucking day. Okay? She comes back every day, but she yells at me every day. She's like, you're a misogynist, or you say misogynistic things all the time. I recognize her name. Okay? All the time. Literally every day. Yup, I wish I could convince you on changing shit, but I have nothing. You're right. Very much doomer shit, goddamn. No, because changing me is not going to change anything. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to change the fucking systems. It's not going to change the oppression. Okay? Also, what you want to fucking change within me is probably just a matter of personal preference, an aesthetic preference. Because what? Like, you think you're going to change me into, like, what? Being not a misogynist? I'm not a misogynist. You know what I mean? Yep, I know. But I want to share my perspective. Exactly. And that's the problem. All you motherfuckers want to do is this. You want to share your perspective. You want to be heard. That's it. At least you admit it. At least you recognize it within yourself. Anyway. What's wrong with sharing their perspective, bro, Lamau? Well, it's important. It's annoying when it's derailing, when it's specifically and deliberately derailing. That's when it's annoying. Anyway. For the record, the argument here applies to every time this conversation cycles back around, not just whatever weird list might be going around today. People are moralizing what others watch and read instead of fighting the people in power who are making our lives miserable. Okay? What? You called me Mountain Boy yesterday for doing this exact thing? What, Mountain Boy? Wait, what did I call you, Mountain Boy? That's so funny. Carbon capture is just an excuse for coal cucks to keep pocketing money at the expense of everyone else. I live in the mountains. I'll stick with cars. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Well, but you recognized you were wrong. And you said, good point, my bad. You can't fucking complain about it one day later if you admitted that I was right. Mountain boy. I remember now. Because you said, I'll stick to my car because I live in the fucking mountains. And I yelled at you and I said, mountain boy, that's... Adequate public transit means you get public transit too. And you can still keep your fucking car. Anyway. Okay. I'm not saying there aren't problematic artists. My issue is the emphasis placed on consumption as an inherent endorsement and that most Americans rely on and believe in consumption is the only way they can be political. It benefits the people in power to convince that that's true. That's a great take. Damn, all facts. I think people's desperate need to be heard stems from the lack of strong communities as the social fabric unravels under the capitalist system. That too. Alienation that you experience in every part of your lives. Okay? Let's get back to this fucking boring bullshit. I think I'm gonna get over it. I want to see wokeism and religion, and then we'll move on. Okay? God, the rest of this shit sucks.
Yeah, loss of faith has been kind of ramping up in America. I mean, really in all secular democracies. But it's still not. You don't have a minority of people. You don't have a majority of people identified as atheists, right? And the minority that identify with atheists is still. I'm still in the single digits because
what? Posting this again because this is exactly how we chatters feel when Hasan looks at our comment. I captivated a guy who captivated 1,000 guys. No, don't think this way, okay? Or if you're gonna think this way, at least make it productive. Because a lot of you are fucking lazy, okay? A lot of you are selfish and lazy. Some of you realize that like you can't get me to fucking pay attention by making good posts, so then you rely on bad posts, okay? And that's fucked up. Do it in a way that is appropriate and positive and be a good community chatter instead of a bad community chatter. Okay? Now, I hope he fucking pops off about how atheists are the most marginalized because it's going to be awesome.
Atheism as a concept has got bad, PR associated with it. You have something like 20 to 25% of the so-called nuns who are, again, these are not people who identify as atheists, but these are people who would say they're not identified with any specific church. But you still have most people who are, at least nominally Christian and pretend to care about being Christian, in the U.S. at this moment. And you have something like fully half who are, really will check many or all of the boxes to attest to their belief. It's more than half. It's if you ask, and again, a lot of these people are on the Christian right, but many of them are woke or woke adjacent. It's like I just was on Van Jones's podcast, right? Now he's not. He's much woker than any of us. I think he's probably said some.
Van Jones, famous ex-Maoist.
Rational, pragmatic things. We didn't actually talk about this topic.
I remember seeing some of that.
He's kind of taken the Obama line of like just saying, listen, kids, like this is not, there are bigger problems than pronouns or whatever. I don't know how he touched it, but.
Damn, bro, he was popping off, huh? I love when people pop off like that, when they're like, listen, fucking calm down, trans people, okay? You got too many rights. How about you fucking calm down, trans people? That's what I'm saying always. You fucking chill out, dumbass. Also, I don't think Obama has ever said that. Yeah. That if you like your pronouns, you can keep it.
But still, he's someone whose coverage of Black Lives Matter, I would have, many critical things to say about. And again, the topic didn't come up, but he's someone who, if you ask him, do you think Jesus will be returning to earth to raise the living and the dead? I'm pretty sure he would say yes, right? And you'd be surprised at the percentage of sober, non-Bible thumping people would say yes to that question.
What? Van Jones is an evangelical Christian? Wait, no fucking shot. Wait, is that true? Wait. Can a strong Christian me and a strong atheist... Wait, fuck. Is Van Jones actually have a civil constructive dialogue about the future on this week's episode of Uncommon Ground? Sam Harris and I give our best shot. Tune in to hear. Bro, this got fucking 1,000 likes. Motherfucker, have me on, okay? Let's have Uncommon Ground, okay? Why are you having Sam Harris on? This shit's not gonna work for you. You guys don't know any better. I guess like mainline Christianity also believes in resurrection, or do they? Like the second coming of Jesus Christ? Dude, I don't know. I don't understand how people could take that shit literally. I legitimately don't understand. Like that's the part where my brain breaks completely. Like I can totally understand trying to analyze the world that you see and experience through the lens of religion as like a shroud, you know what I mean? You shroud it with you cover it with your religious understanding, okay? You're like, you make scripture work for you. I get that part, right? To a certain degree. I don't do it, but I understand how some people can. But the moment that you're like, no, literally, like Jesus Christ is going to come back to earth, I'm like, dude, you what? Okay. That's wild to me. Like actually wild.
I've been amazed at the people who I would have bet a lot of money would be skeptical of that piece.
Aren't you a practicing Muslim? Brother, why do people still say this? Like, do you see me pray throughout the day? I'm live 10 hours a day. Do you see me fast during Ramadan? No.
They might be Christian. They might be like, listen, I love the Bible. It gives me a great moral framework. It gives my kids a great moral framework. This is the tradition I'm identified with. This is all super important to me. But that's kind of as far as it goes, right? Like I'm not going to make magical claims about flying saviors who are literally going to come down from where is heaven exactly, given that we have, multiple telescopes up there, beaming back, tens of billions of years worth of information. I'm amazed at the number of people who will bite the bullet on the core doctrine and say, yeah, I think Jesus is going to come back and raise the dead. Right.
But Sam, surely you have to agree in a society which is becoming ever more atomized.
Let me just close the loop on it.
Sure, go for it.
Many of these people are woke, right?
Yeah.
So the punchline can't be well, they lost their religion and now they have a vacuum of an ethical and existential vacuum that they're filling with wokeness. Now, I would grant you.
Interesting. When talking about Christianity, Sam Harris has the comprehension skills of recognizing that it's not just monolithic and that some Christians can be, dare I say, woke, which is the worst thing you can be, obviously. Quite curious that he can't, for some weird reason, associate that level of diversity of thought and political ideology within Islam. I wonder what that's about. Let's not look into it. Let's not dive further.
You that it's, and don't lose your point.
Yeah.
I would grant you that it's drawing a lot of quasi-spiritual, quasi-religious energy from the fact that most people in our society, even if they're nominally religious, really are struggling to find meaning in their day-to-day. But
Yeah.
when you look at just the hour by hour increments at which life is doled out to us, like you get up and you're cast out of deep sleep or the phantasmagoria of dreams, when the alarm goes off in the morning, and how do you feel about your life and what is going to give you moral urgency and meaning? At millions and millions of people found it at specific moments in our recent history, the George Floyd killing was certainly one of those moments where it's like, okay, this is enough. Like, this is my religion, right? And that's it's understandable, and it is, yes, it does have a religious dynamic, and there's a religious dynamic. I mean, to call it religious is to just basically say it's actually an invidious statement about religion.
Hold up.
And that's it's understandable, and it is. This is my religion, right? And that's it's understandable, and it is, yes, it does have a religious dynamic, and there's a religious dynamic. I mean, to call it religious is to just basically say it's actually an invidious statement about religion. It's basically saying, like, all the things I don't like about religion is tribalism, it's dogmatism, it's immunity to good arguments and good evidence, right? The fact that it can't be reasonable.
I love r/atheist because their hatred over religion is over like some of the most annoying, like they make me side with religious people. They turn me into reactionaries. It's not logical. That's why I don't like it. It's like, maybe it reminds me of like a younger me when I was like that, when I was in like fucking 4th grade, 5th grade in Turkey, coming to terms with what my belief system looked like. But it was just like, they're so like, they're so fucking annoying about it. It's not science. It is literally, you know what it is? It's like, when I wake up every morning, or when I'm coming, I say, oh, my science. Like, it's that, but instead of a fucking joke, it's literally real life. Yeah. I don't say, oh, my God. I say, oh, my logic. Oh, I fucking love science, man. So stupid. Anyway, but yeah, the idea that, God, he's doing like the God hole thing that I, and also famously Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, have talked about time and time again, about like people who lose their faith still need like something to fill, something to plug the holes, and that's why like you see a lot of people who are like, I'm not religious, but then they're like, I believe in karma. I'm not religious, but I believe in fucking I don't know, crystals or some shit. Okay. Oh, my logic. That's what Ben Shapiro would say. No, Ben Shapiro is straight up Orthodox Jew. He's not saying oh, my logic at all. But like, he's not even talking about that. He's saying that, I don't know. I don't know how, I don't understand how you can like mistake a social movement with the same as like well-established organized religion.
With, really, because it's just chucked reason out the door, initially, and what it's brought back in the name of reason is functioning under the sort of the new physics of just casuistry. Like we already know that God exists, and we know that the Bible is perfect, we know the Quran is perfect, and so within that frame, now we're going to get really reasonable, like St. Thomas Aquinas.
Oh, he's saying like, from an atheist perspective, he's saying that a lot of these people that are like into BLM and stuff, are, oh, I get it. He's saying that a lot of these people who are like into BLM and stuff have just like figured out that like religion as it exists is already, is already set. It's determined. Everybody abides by those rules, and it's perfected in their eyes. So now they're desperately seeking like religion 2, and religion 2 is wokeism. That's what he's trying to do. Got it. Okay. Very cool. Really stupid, but also very cool.
St. Augustine. That's all the stuff about religion that I find so obviously wrong, and it's so easy to see once you're not indoctrinated into that religion. So a lot of that explains what is happening politically on the far left and the far right at the moment, or the far right being Trumpistan. Right.
So Sam, but I think all of us have got to admit that in a society we're becoming ever more atomized, where people
No, we're done after this, by the way. Like after the end of the segment, I'm going to
are becoming more isolated. Religion, organized religion, it was a bond. It was a community. People could go, they could meet other people.
Give Smooth, brilliant take, says, it's so convenient that the cure for the culture war can be distilled down to the exact same argument that Sam Harris has been making since 2001. Quite suspicious that somehow he found a way to turn it back on. This is exactly like religion. It's just dogmatic. It's great. You're right. I wonder why. By the way, the thing I fucking hate about that... The thing I hate about that is that it's lazy. It's lazy. You're not creative. You're not like desperately looking for a new way to try to I don't know, target culture.
They could feel connected. And so when people are disconnected, they're going to look for ways to connect with someone else. And what better way to do that was then with, I support this political movement, BLM, or, you share the same immutable characteristics as me, I'm gay or I'm black or et cetera, because we're so desperate.
But these guys, on the other hand, are not doing that. They're so above that. That's why they've decided to put together the nerdiest group of people that constantly claim that society's gone too far with wokeness. And that's their religion, okay? They're heterodox thinking libs, okay? They're definitely not doing that, though. They're doing something totally different, which is they're above the culture war, Sweaty. You don't understand. The best way to be above the culture war is by constantly undermining people who are literally just like, please stop killing us. Or people who are like, hey, I would like to be able to live in a house. I would like to be able to have shelter for me and my children. Looking at all of that and going, y'all are just doing wokeism, bitch. And then getting together and like consistently complaining about that and casting aside those very legitimate, very real concerns, the very legitimate anxieties that people feel by regularly, endlessly pontificating on like 3 fucking gay SJW freshmen at Yale University, an institution that is, like I said, a stomping ground for the CIA, like literally just a direct fucking factory for churning out as many, imposter syndrome, anxiety-riddled CIA agents, okay?
Because we're literally programmed to form communities that we're going to have this ideology, which is going to enable us to create a community.
Yeah, and on the woke side, it has this, it has a precursor in Christianity, but it's somehow in a purer form now. It has inverted the value structure such that, the lower status you are, the higher status you come out, once the calculation has been done. It's like,
oh my God, he loves it, dude. He loves it. Yeah, totally. That's how that works. Or you can reject that. I mean, how is this any different than Ben Shapiro being like, oh, woke Olympics, oppression Olympics? He's just saying oppression Olympics, but he's saying it in a more intellectual, more pseudo-intellectual way. Okay? Oh, standpoint theory. Woke Olympics. It sucks. It's like the more you are targeted by the oppression, the intersectionality of oppression, the more important your voice is. It's like, no, it's not. And literally no one in society operates that way. Okay? If that was the fucking case, then, the entire White House staff would be just exclusively like Native American and black trans people that are disabled, okay? If everyone was like, oh yeah, let's only listen to the most oppressed, the most marginalized people, then that's how it would work. Okay? But except they're not there. They're barely fucking surviving. Why? Because the systems are never going to listen to people like that. Okay? They're not. They're just not. The entire system is designed in a way to literally avoid hearing out that perspective. And you are playing your role in that exact same system of like undermining that perspective, even if it's like for 1 second. You just don't want to hear it. You don't even want to fucking hear it. It's disgusting to you that like people that don't look like you, people that don't sound like you, people that don't have your exact same fucking perspective on the world, that don't come from the lap of privilege and luxury, are even having a brief moment, like having a megaphone for a brief moment, even if that megaphone is literally conditional, it's commoditized, it's undermined and neutered by corporations, and ultimately leads to nothing. That's it. It's just like, oh man, I'm just mad. I'm mad that like I have to even hear from someone of this background. That's exactly what they fucking cry about endlessly. They can try to basically turn this into the most intellectual conversation as much as they want, as desperately as they want to, but ultimately that's it. Okay? You're just genuinely frustrated that like some of those people that have been struck by the long dick of society, okay, for so consistently for so long, who've been a little brain broken by that experience, who are a little bit more jagged with their edges and can't actually speak in the same monotone voice that this asshole can, okay, are going to be cringe. And that's going to like, one, offend your sensibilities, which is why like a lot of these liberals also hate Bernie Sanders, because he's like giving the game away by showing Americans that like a better way is possible, that you can be a politician with like consistent values that care about the working class. And two, it's kind of cringe. It's like making you, it's like reminding you that like those people exist, and you would much rather live in a world where you don't have to hear that. A big problem with like a lot of homeless people and the existence of homeless people for people like Sam Harris and others is not necessarily that like there are people out there, human beings that are suffering, okay? It's that suffering is in their front yard. Their suffering is happening in the sidewalk, and they have to see it. They have to smell it sometimes, you know what I mean? And that is really offensive to them. Like, just solve it. I just put him somewhere else. I don't want to see it, is usually the attitude that people like this have. They have disdain for those who are less fortunate than they are. Okay? It's not necessarily the human suffering that frustrates them. It's the eyesore. Okay? And that's what's really frustrating. It's like, that's why I fucking despise liberals too.
You know, Dungeons and Dragons with the sort of the new dice, where it's like the least power points you have, the more you find yourself winning. And so the victimology of it is, and the meek shall inherit the earth. I mean, it is that ethos implemented in a very weird way and sort of gamified somehow in all of the intersectionality details of it. I mean, there's no question people draw a tremendous amount of energy and, I hesitate to say meaning. I mean, there's meaning in scare quotes from this. And it's all, I mean, I guess, so, I mean, to steelman all of it, briefly, I mean, it is, again, it's.
Oh, I'm sure he'll fucking steelman it, all right.
Especially on the left, it's genuinely confusing, right? Like the mad work that
oh, never mind, he's not steelmanning it.
Tiny pieces of misinformation or just fraudulent assumptions is doing is, it's really impossible to exaggerate. I mean, so if you ask most people who saw the George Floyd moment, I mean, it's, again, I don't know, we've yet to totally understand what happened there because, like, who knows? Just let's bracket that because we still.
Bro, just say the N-word, dude. Just say the N-word right now, please. You want to so bad. Just say it. It's been an hour and it's like you're literally dying inside. You're like freaking out. You're white knuckling through this conversation. Just say it. Just say it, dude. What do you mean we still don't know exactly what happened in that moment? The fuck do you mean? Even the racist ass, white supremacist ass criminal justice system was like, all right, that's a bridge too far. You got motherfuckers who are like pro-cop content channels literally being like, yeah, that was a little fucked up. Like, damn near entirety of the Republican movement gave up on that. And Sam Harris over here is still like, well, we still don't know. Still trying to cast doubt on what happened there. Like, it wasn't fucking public execution of another black person in broad daylight, in like directly in the hands of a racist ass fucking cop who had done similar things time and time again. Bro, there are fucking literal Nazis who are like, yeah, that was a little fucked up. That's awesome. Holy shit. It not only was it caught in 4K, like I said, it's like the fucking criminal justice system was like, yeah, Derek Chauvin is guilty of murder. Fuck, man. Fuck. It's like, holy shit. Just say it. Just say it. Just say it. Just say it. Like, you, I know Gideon thinks like Ethan Klein is like a liberal racist. That's a liberal racist. Okay? Liberals can be racist and oftentimes are. That right there, this fucking freak on the left, that's a liberal racist. Holy shit.
People don't know who Derek Chauvin really is and why he did what he did, right? So like either it was a racist murder.
Oh my God, bro. I need to know. I need to know. I need to know. Like, it's not enough that he literally put his knee on the neck of a black man, an unarmed black man, for like 9 minutes and personally killed him, okay? And then was found guilty by the fucking same state that normally allows that sort of thing to happen regularly, okay? But like, do we know, does he feel, I know he's said racist things in the past. I know he's been written up for, misconduct in the past, which is a really high bar to clear. Like, you literally have to be like so fucking insanely racist that other cops are like, all right, we got to give you a slap on the wrist here. Okay. Oh my Lord. Okay. Even in that system, like, so that means he has done racist shit in the past. He's like, well, has he felt racism in his heart? You know what I mean? Like, have we, like, I know he did a lynching, okay, in broad daylight in front of 45 people for 9 minutes, but does he feel racist in his heart? That's what we need to know. But was he really racist? It's like in Sam Harris's world, who's racist? Who is a white supremacist in this world? If the boundaries are so rigid that like, and so narrow, who is a racist person? Not a single person is racist then. This is literally the everyone but Hitler was not a Nazi argument, for the record. It's like, well, did they say they were a Nazi? Well, if they did, well, they weren't like, literally Hitler. So I guess they weren't a Nazi, really. Who's to say?
Or it was his brain malfunctioned, or like, I honestly, I look at that video, I don't know what I'm looking at there. It's just,
Oh, you don't know what you're looking at. Yeah, I wonder why you don't know what you're looking at, because you're an idiot, dude. Holy shit, that's awesome. I didn't even think that he would go so far as to just like openly showcase his disdain, lack of care at the most charitable towards the humanity of black people. Oh my God. That's great. I didn't know how far it went, but not surprising. Not surprising and not surprising that this is the same guy who platformed the bell curve guy, so the irony is, he is white supremacy's champion, whether he realizes it or not, when he says shit like this. Wow, that's awesome. How the fuck do people look at this guy and like, how the fuck do liberals look at this guy and go, yeah, that's an intellectual giant on the left right there. He's such a good liberal.
apart from the horrible killing of a person who certainly did not need to be killed in that situation. But you ask most people who saw that, the vast majority of people who saw that, certainly left of center, would bet their lives, bet the lives of their children, that what they saw there was a racist lynching, right? Like that was what we have is a white man killing.
Dude, he's so brilliant. He's such a heterodox thinker. I can't get over how brilliant he is. He looks to a racist lynching in broad daylight in front of numerous people, okay? And he says, well, was it really racist? Do we know? we know?
A black man because of racism, because like that wouldn't have happened to a white man. It wouldn't have been perpetrated by a black man. Race is 100% of the explanatory variable there. And not only...
It doesn't have to be 100% of the variable, explanatory variable, even though in this case you could say that. But you don't even need that. You don't need that at all. White supremacy is such a fundamental core principle of American existence that it is baked into every institution in some way or another. You can constantly close your eyes to that reality and act like that's not the real reason. You can even joke about certain real truths like the existence of highways and redlining and how highways were designed in a way to literally create black ghettos separated from the white suburbs. You know what I mean? Things like that. You could just go, ha, what's next? Are highways racist? And then you think you've undermined it. But the only thing you've done is, you've laughed about a factually correct statement to a group, to a room full of people who agree with you that are also just as stupid as you are. Okay? That's it. That's all you've done. In that circumstance, that is all you've done. Okay? You're just comfortable in your stupidity because that's what bigotry is. Okay? That's what bigotry is. It's stupidity. It's like refusing to... It's a dogma. Here, I'll use terms that Sam Harris hates. Bigotry is dogmatic thought. If he hates dogma and if he loves logic and reasoning so much, then he should maybe attempt to seek the correct information and the appropriate historical analysis in this circumstance. Okay? Instead of constantly closing his fucking eyes and turning a blind eye to the truth. Okay? That's it. That's straight up it. It's awesome. That's great. I love that. I love that he's just openly, very clearly going through an event that is more racist than other ones, like so much so that even like the average American comprehends it, right? And even in that situation, it doesn't meet the high bar that you must clear for Sam Harris to recognize that it's racist. That's awesome. Oof. That's a yikes from me.
Was that as unambiguously evil and sadistic and racist as it seemed? That happens thousands of times a year in America. Like you ask people to...
I mean, what? Yes, that's a consequence of the systems. Yes.
Estimate how many black people do you think get murdered by white racist cops in America every year? They imagine we're talking thousands, right? So if you believe that, right, then what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
What would you? Wouldn't you too take?
Wait, what? Is he gonna just not? Is he not gonna address that? He's just gonna be like, that's not factually correct. At least say that it's not correct if you don't think it's correct.
To the streets when everyone says we're going to we're protesting on Tuesday. Of course, right? So it's like you don't have to add too many pieces of distorting pseudo facts to get people who I otherwise totally understand to mouth all the predictable pieties on this topic. But the truth is, all of that is wrong, right? Like you can count on two hands the number of unarmed black men who get killed every year by cops. And you can count more white people who get killed every year by cops, right?
This guy's a liberal, dude? What the fuck? There are more white people than there are black people. Also, police obviously still marginalize the poor on a class basis more than they do anything else, okay? The problem is police disproportionately target black people, okay? Disproportionately. There are more white people than there are black people, so of course, more white people in totality get killed by the police, and even unarmed white people. Holy fuck. Dude, this is one additional talking point removed from the 1350 narrative, okay? That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. What the fuck? Yo, I thought if you have a PhD, you at least need to have like some kind of, cursory knowledge of statistics, right? I mean, that's wild. That's fucking wild. That's how fucking stupid Republicans argue. And it's so easy to just turn around and flip it on them and be like, yeah, because there's more white people. And also on top of that, it's that you know, black people are disproportionately targeted by the police, and also on top of that, that black people are for when all other properties are removed from the equation, black people still get longer sentences than white people for the same crimes. Black people and white people consume marijuana in the same rate, but they get disproportionately targeted and get longer sentences on top of that. Like you have to know at least like the basic stuff about this. If you're going to talk about this and you want to maintain your liberal veneer, you have to at the very least not come across like, and you called it out correctly, Stefan fucking Molnier. 1,000 black people get killed by racist cops. Sam Harris doesn't bat an eye. 10 university professors get canceled. Sam Harris rage. Wow. Wow, dude. That's cool. That's a cool. Why do you say it like that? I don't know how you fucking properly say it, but I don't give a shit. Atheistic on the existence of God, agnostic on racism in the justice system. No, I wouldn't say he's agnostic. I think he just, you know, he says, you know, some of it exists, but it's marginal, which is like pretty much the same as outright denying it. That's wild. That is wild. Wait, there were some other points that I wanted to address because he like dropped a couple of the most commonly used racist facts on this that are not real facts, by the way. They're just like bastardized numbers.
Tuesday. Of course, right? So it's like, so you don't have to add too many pieces of, you know, distorting, you know, pseudo facts to get people who I otherwise totally understand to mouth, you know, all the predictable pieties on this topic. But the truth is, all of that is wrong, right? Like, you know, you can count on two hands the number of unarmed black men who get killed every year by cops.
Okay, that's not true. I don't know what the exact number is, but still, it's still fucking preposterous that it happens. Number one. Number two, let's see. Okay. Okay. Number two, the fact that he changed it to race is wild to me, okay? The fact that he changed it and flipped it on to fucking race is wild because it's the easiest thing to diminish. It is the easiest argument to dunk on. Like nobody on the left ever says like white people don't get fucking killed by cops, okay? Black Lives Matter. We're the only people that went to fucking Daniel Shaver's funeral. Black Lives Matter was there. Because they understand that a fucking police force that kills an unarmed white guy is certainly not going to even, you know, bat an eye at killing an unarmed black guy. Okay? Insane, dude. In fucking sanity. Holy shit. Here, let's look at some facts. 1,145 people were killed in the United States by police, okay? Black people were 2.9 times more likely to be killed by the police than white people. They stayed pretty consistent, though. They only killed 13 more people in 2021 compared to 2020, so that's wonderful. That's cool. Where's the unarmed? The unarmed numbers. Fatal police shootings of unarmed black people reveal troubling patterns. Since 2015, police officers have fatally shot at least 135 unarmed black men and women nationwide. An NPR investigation has found. For at least 15 of the officers, such as McMain, the shootings were not their first or their last, NPR found. Oh, surprising. I see Rhino. Thank you for the 5. Get the subs. Allowing 5 people to no longer see the top of the hour ad break, by the way, which I forgot to run, which I'm going to run right now. I believe last time I checked this data, I think it was like fucking 2016 or 2017. The 2017 numbers was like what? Black unarmed men are what, like almost 20 times more likely to be shot by the police than white unarmed men are. Something insane like that. There's a filter. Mapping police violence. Okay. Where are the filter? Black people are most likely to be killed by the police. 3 times more likely to be killed by the police than white people. 1.3 times more likely to be unarmed than white people. Okay, that number is greatly... that might have been a aggressive year for unarmed black people being shot. Unarmed is bullshit too because armed white dudes don't get shot by the police either. I mean, there's that too, but it doesn't matter ultimately. 20 times too much. Roll up a little? Wait, what do you mean? Clearly, it's only racist if a black person dies. Not that all the other fucked up things cops do to black people that don't count. Yeah, no, this is just, you have to understand, Chicago police killed black people 25 times higher the rate of than white people per population. Now, here's the issue, okay? Oh, unarmed. The reason why we hyper-focus on the unarmed killings is because, like, that is the one that is, like, even the most racist people can comprehend. That is the type of injustice that even the most, this 1.3 is a different number to what you said, so you can still be right? No. I think the number I was referencing was 19 to 35 as well. That's why. I think it was like 16 times more likely, maybe something like that, but I don't know. It depends on the age group that we're talking about. But listen. The reason why people look at unarmed numbers is because it is like the most obvious fucking example of injustice, right? Most obvious example of injustice. That is not even the fucking tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? That is not even the fucking tip of the iceberg. Yeah, that guy got permanently banned. Or you could just like not resist arrest. I know. Then you have armed suspects. Then you have escalation tactics. And then you have routine traffic stops. Police are repressing everyone that is marginalized, poor. Doesn't matter if they're white, by the way. Poor white people get fucked over by cops as well. All the time, regularly. Because that's their fucking job. Their job is to protect and serve the interests of capital. When you only talk about like police murdering unarmed suspects, you're hyper focusing on the tip of the iceberg, and some races will not even allow you to get that. Some races will be like, nah, you're wrong. You know what I mean? The beatings don't count. The regular random traffic stops and the harassment that you endured does not count. The civil asset forfeiture does not even get factored into this conversation. That's all a part of regular police protocol and the lack of accountability, more importantly. And the reason for why there is no accountability in that circumstance when we're talking about police brutality is because they are supposed to be doing that. They're doing that to the right people. As long as they're doing that to the right people and not the wrong people, Donald Trump, the wealthy, right? Then it's fine. That's what they're supposed to do. They deserved it. They deserve to be brutalized. They have to be brutalized. You understand? So Sam Harris popping off like this is hilarious to me. It's wild because it's so easily it is so easily destroyed, especially when you bring up like, well, more white people are shot by cops. Yeah, no shit, there are more white people. White people make up 60% of this country, but black people still are disproportionately targeted by the police. Black people still get longer sentences in the criminal justice system. Black people are still underserved, living in communities that have been purposely set back. Okay? And ultimately, oh, I forgot to run the ad. Yeah, you're right. Fuck, I'm going to run it right now. Shit, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to run the ad at the top of the hour. Oh, sorry about that. And that the police murders are just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, it's a small fraction of the brutality, but it's one that most people assume you will, at least if you're a normal human being with like a sense of decency and honesty, it's one that like most people will be like, all right, that's really fucked up.
And you can count more white people who get killed every year by cops, right? Under identical circumstances. Again, I've talked about this on my podcast, so we need not go there. Those who are interested could look at the episode, Can We Pull Back from the Brink?
It was beautifully done.
Yeah, like 2 hours I talk about
it
this.
It was
right?
exactly what needed to be said in that moment. So.
Right.
I don't think cop killing numbers is such a good measurement for racism because it's such a small number. No, dude, it's a truly unjustifiable act, though. What the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't matter if 1,000 people are being killed every year. What do you mean? Out of 400 million. First of all, America's not 400 million. I don't know why you like literally added extra people. Okay. And secondly, that's so stupid. What do you mean? Oh, how many people is okay then? How many people can cops kill? Until you say, okay, well, that's a little fucked up. Especially when the alternative in other civilized nations, like actually civilized nations, is significantly less. Especially when the problem could be easily solved by disarming most factions of the police. That's wild, dude. Come on.
I really congratulate you on that. I invite people to go and find that. Really very good.
Yeah, so we can leave that aside, but the misinformation or the faulty assumptions occur at the highest level, right? It's like, this is not, I mean, I guess there's some people who actually know what is real here and are just cynically manipulating the politics, but I mean, it's hard for me to believe that someone like Kamala Harris doesn't actually know the numbers, right? But it's not in her political interests, or in what she conceives of as her political interests, to act like she knows the numbers, right? But anyway, it's not. I mean, the charitable view is there are very few people who are consciously lying or seeking to do things that they know are wrong. I mean, just conscious evil is a rare thing.
Yes.
And
Mostly useful idiots is what I talk about in my book. Yeah. I agree with you.
Hey, Konstantin, do you want...
Okay, we're done. The rest of it is just like bullshit, how to be happy and stuff, and I don't care about these fucking nerds. Help explain. How can people like him have the narrative that, one, blacks are more violent than white, but also, two, that there are more white people killed by cops, proving that by his logic, whites would be more violent? What? No, there is no logic. I don't even know what the fuck you're trying to say.